Well, getting their first win, Matt, the Los Angeles Valiant can finally breathe a sigh of relief and start to build towards the next of the season. But we've got two teams coming up that are definitely in the midst of that kind of building stage, Matt. The Boston Uprising are just reverse sweeping everyone so far. Maximum Overwatch is what they've been playing over the last couple of weeks.
I mean, they haven't won a map 1 or 2 in like a month, so not ideal. You'd like to win those.
It was a week off, so I guess in 3 weeks of play. No, fair enough, yeah. Not
good.
Their opponents, though, the Hangzhou Spark, haven't been looking great, but we'll talk about Boston a little bit to start things off here. Reverse sweep, obviously, against Dallas, that was pretty big. Obviously, RCK was on the Fuel roster at that time. And then, obviously, RCK comes over to the Boston Uprising, and then they start reverse sweep.
Yeah, he's, I guess, the first player we've seen that's been on the end of a reverse sweep, then goes to the team that he got.
I spoke to him outside, actually. He was like, you know, it was a pretty weird feeling getting reverse swept by Boston and then being on the team when we did the next couple of times.
Well, he's probably crushed with Dallas to lose in that fashion, and to find out you go to that team's like, oh, well, not that bad anymore. I got my boys a win.
Could be. Speaking of another player on this team who's definitely started to look much better, it is Color Hex. His last showing for the Boston Uprising allowed him to showcase a variety of different heroes, and in all honesty, he definitely started performing. There's a meme about him, obviously, because he's a 4.2k rated player, so everyone sort of jokes about that one. However, comes into the Overwatch League and plays like he definitely belongs here. His Widowmaker play was really impressive in the match against the Defiant.
Yeah, no, I mean, he was fantastic on Widowmaker. I think when you start to see, you know, Color Hex and then a lot of these other players in the league who play damage dealers, like primarily, get off of like flex tanks and supports, I think you're going to start to see them perform at a much higher clip. I think Color Hex is the one from last week we recognize the most.
You still need to have that player on your team that's going to be able to play the Zarya much of the time. If you watched our previous match, you would have seen still a lot of that kind of thing happening, Matt. But seeing KSF even try to play a little bit of a Genji here into some sort of Batiste compositions. Teams are now playing that dive as they come in here. But here's 3 reverse sweeps in a row. And so end of stage 1, if you recall that one. So, you know, obviously went into the break on a high note and then come back out and do it again. Now, Matt, this is great, but also, their fans are probably starting to get grey hairs at this point. Where are the clean wins going to come from?
Yeah, I mean, look, I think you come in here against the Spark, who the Spark have been so up and down in terms of their performance. I think this is a match where you want to see them, you know, win one of the first 2 games, ideally both of them. And I get the right foot forward, because I think, no, you can conjure up this magic, you know, 2-3 times, right? Like we've seen. I don't think you can consistently rely on that second half to be able to get those wins.
And we had stories even last season where the London Spitfire were always getting reverse swept or struggling in that map 5. And of course, it's worth noting that map 5 of this series is Control. Now, that means Boston's winning a lot of those, you know, Control maps then, but they're never winning the first one in this series. You can't really use that. You can't use that as a predictor. So, you know, it says a lot about the team throughout to step up in these moments. But Matt, there's a lot more work to do.
Yeah, I think when you get to those game 5s, though, and I think when you're on the reverse sweep, when you're the team that's actively kind of like going forward, I think it's a little bit easier to win those game 5s so you had that momentum in your favor.
So looking for a clean win, looking for a 4-0 ideally. They want to pad out that map differential a little bit more. Let's welcome to the stage the Boston Uprising. Probably one of the most mercurial teams we've seen, Matt. Like they're changing a lot, right? We're seeing a lot of players traded, a lot of new players coming in. It's almost a revolving door, and they've still been able to produce results, which has to be what is most impressive about this roster.
It's funny. It's you kind of look at this roster as it's changed over time, and you're like, oh. Like coming into the season, like, oh, you know, they're going to build around, you know, Kellex, Aim God, Note, like 3 rocks. They trade Note in between stage 1 and 2.
Which is bizarre, because we thought he'd be like that franchise player for this team, right?
Yeah, so now, I mean, you're really building around, you know, you have the solid supports with Aim God and Kellex. Kellex has been there really since the beginning, and I think everybody else, you know, you're bringing in these young, fresh, new players, and you're trying to make it work, which they've done very nice this far. I think it's a big shout out to their coaching staff.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was something that was brought up as something that really manifests in those map 5 victories, is that you've got this coaching staff that is able to, you know, give the team an understanding of what it takes to really to stretch out, you know, or to come back, should I say, from you know, a huge deficit. It takes a lot of mental fortitude.
And I think having somebody like Huck back there, he hates to lose. kind of like how I was when I was a coach. You just hate to lose more than anything. So I think really kind of gives that vibe to the rest of the team.
No doubt about it. And speaking of which, their opponents here definitely are not going to be a walkover, that's for sure. Everybody, join me in welcoming the Hangzhou Spark to the stage.
I think you better bow down.
The most hyped team coming into the Overwatch League. Expectations were, frankly, bordering on the stratosphere. The Spark looked decent in their first few games, but stage one ultimately wasn't really theirs. Matt, we're starting to see them now try and make some more use of Sombra in the compositions, but we thought this would be the damage dealer heavy comp, but they've still been playing a lot of 3-3.
Yeah, it's been really hard to figure out the Spark. Everything we've heard from teams that have played them, that they've looked phenomenal. Early in Crystal. So Crystal come into this is interesting. Everybody's been wanting to see him for a while now, and you're going to get your first look here today. Getting him in the lineup could be, a little bit of a spark. So I was trying to think.
Wow, see, now that's normally I know. You always think the puns are quite corny.
I know, and I felt horrible saying.
This is exciting though. Crystal used to play on a team called Miracle Team 1 back in China, right? Really well known locally. He didn't really hit the stage, I would say, until last year's Overwatch World Cup.
Yeah.
Now, the Chinese team played in Bangkok and went 5-0, right? That was where Gschwind and Crystal really started to get, noticed much more. So remember, this is a mixed roster. Okay? There are language barriers that do exist. Gschwind and Crystal obviously being Chinese, and the rest of their compatriots mostly being Korean. So there's that dynamic there. And this is the first time we see Crystal sort of get integrated. So you have to think, maybe Hangzhou going back to a more damage dealer focused style. Crystal was known for playing DPS. Like Genji McCree, he played a bunch of stuff. Widowmaker, I've even seen him go for. Here's that map set, Matt, brought to you by Toyota. To you specifically.
And it can, thank you for presenting the map set by Toyota to me specifically, and to the people at home. I'll present it to them at home. You have Oasis to kick things off, followed by Anubis Blizzard World Junkertown, so potentially see some of that bunker comp later in the series. But I'm excited to really see what the Spark bring out today. With Crystal in the mix, I think this is an opportunity where things are not going well for them. You bring in a player who can, excite the fan base, excite some of the players up on the stage. And I think, something as well, so we hear they're so strong in scrimmages. Like, do they get, a little bit of stage fright, coming out on stage, with the walkouts, everybody here in the pink jerseys.
How ironic is it, man, that every time we hype up a DPS player, he ends up playing Brigitte in the first map. Hangzhou sticking with more of that 3-3 kind of setup, but Boston go for something different. So we've seen Blase play this Roadhog a little bit, Matt. He's definitely looking for picks, or he switches to Brig as well, because every time I talk about a player, they end up playing Brig.
Yeah, and I think what you see is that Boston, they come out of the spawn, they recognize, they go back, they make some changes. So they want to play mirror here to the Sparks Reinhardt version of the triple tank, triple support.
I mean, fair. Where's the Roadhog hook going to go? There's Zarya Bubbles, Brig shield, Reinhardt shield. Fusion wants to go forward. There was a mutual knockdown between the Brigs to start the fight, but Blase comes off that one second best. Dropping down the pit was Color Hexagrams, which not only puts him out of the fight, but gives him no opportunity to get charged and be a late fight threat. Now he's out of position, forced to bubble himself, and Godspeed just smacks him.
So you see the Spark take control of the point first. It was an odd situation there with, both Brigittas getting stunned.
Shield backs each other, yeah?
Yeah, I mean, I'm staring at the map. I see Crystal there for a long time. I expected him to drop, but some nice bubbles there by Gonsby, able to obviously save Crystal, keeps him charged. They get up, they pick up an elimination. They do lose Gschwind in the process, so Fusions will be ahead in terms of Earthshatter charge, but still, I think it's just more important for the Spark to get that first fight win, control the point, get some confidence.
On any control map, but this one specifically here. Boston Uprising still chasing that map. One victory map, but they get Baby to start off the fight. Angod living up to his name. Good accuracy across the point with the headshot finish. And it looks like Color Hex was trying to laser down Rio when he was way outside of his range. Solid grab there to end the fight.
Color Hex still thinks he's playing Widowmaker. That was like, no.
I don't blame the guy, right? If you're losing this beam of light, technically, that should go forever.
I tell you what, though, sometimes when you're playing, you think you can connect with this Zarya beam, but it's just a little bit out of range.
Yeah.
Some ultimates used there by the Spark, so you did have the Uprising not really use much of anything there. So the Uprising now come in. They'll have all three support ults to really try and make a good practice.
Gschwind looking for a shatter here. Oh, that was an early bubble on Fusions, actually. There might be an opportunity to set something up here, but no, it's going to be Fusions getting the shatter first. Transcendence immediately brought into the fight by Bebe, and Gschwind still is up on his feet with a shatter to spare. Sound barrier for the Boston Uprising. Color Hex yeets the grab straight into the defense matrix, though. And the Hangzhou Spire looked very good for the later part of this fight, especially now with Fusions having gone down. Aimgod had to go with the Transcendence, but Gschwind, Sound barrier keeping him alive. He backs away, charges Color Hex against the wall, in fact. The Boston Uprising, Hangzhou are wiping the floor with them.
And Boston kind of got it what they want there. They forced Spark off for the point. Both teams kind of exchanging support ultimates. It's really when Color Hex has that grab eaten there by Rhea, because you get them around the corner. You're like, okay, we grab them here. We can potentially just steal the point really quickly or get around, take them out. As we'll see if Boston even gets a touch here. It looks like they won't. So the Spark will be able to take our first point.
Pretty one-sided, Matt. 2 kills, or 2 final blows for the entirety of the Boston Uprising over that entire round. Not once did they have control of the point.
I think with the Spark specifically, like when you watch their individual players, like you can see their mechanical skill. Like we talk like when you watch somebody like Baby Bay, right? You can see like the mechanical skill of the Atlanta Reign. When you watch the Spark, and you know each individual player has like these moments of brilliance, they just have not been able to do it consistently in together. It's just been shining moments from one or two.
Look at who's sitting on the bench for the Hangzhou Spark, by the way. No Smite, Buzzy, Adora. They have like tons of skill.
Yeah. Well, you looked at this roster coming into the league, and you're like, oh, they're going to be one of your top 8 teams without question.
But they haven't reached quite those lofty heights yet. And you can see that 3 and 5 at the top is part of the reason. But here's when they start to build. We'd love to see the pink and blue in our playoffs in stage 1. Stage 2, should I say? So you have Reinhardt versus Winston tanks here.
And you have Gschwind on the Winston, so it's kind of what a lot of people know him for, seeing him back at the Overwatch World Cup. Plays a fantastic Winston. So
look out for his primal range mechanics. His juggling is very good.
He can get onto the back line.
Look, if he can even stay alive against this setup, he's doing well. It's very hard for Winston to find a place to start the fight here.
He kind of saw a glimpse of how far away Aim God was playing. Not want to get in a position where he could get jumped on without having Helix there to move or a bubble.
But that's the problem again. Gschwind, if he stays exposed for too long, he's taking so much damage from every which angle. Okay, Boston actually claimed the point there. Rhea was sat up on top of that little pagoda in the middle of the map. And again, with a Reinhardt composition, Matt, you feel more durable. You feel like you can play a bit more aggressively. Your main tank can mitigate a lot of damage from himself and the rest of the squad. So Gschwind's now switching to the Reinhardt himself.
And I like the decision to go over to Reinhardt. Interesting, they'll keep the Ana in here from Bebe, but I guess you're going to have the nano boost, so you may as well. You can nano boost Gschwind to try and get some charge.
Get a quick shatter,
yeah.
In 3-3, it's already easy to get, but even more so when Ryan's doing more damage. Self-destruct, throwing it over the top, but Gschwind went for a fire strike and got knocked to the ground. That is a huge window in a Reinhardt's vulnerability. When you can't shatter them and Fusion's landed it, that allowed them to pick up Rhea here. Crystal has to use a rally, but the Spark aren't rallying at all. They're in a full-scale retreat.
And I mean, this is a very difficult point to take back. I think if you are the Spark, the thing that you can look at is that you'll have a sound barrier for this next fight. They don't have a Transcendence anymore. You do have your Graviton Surge.
But how do you leverage high ground now as a 3-3 composition, Matt? Like, you don't have a lot of...
You don't. I mean, you really don't. I mean, if you were going to play like a more mobile version of the 3-3 with Winston, I think that you can utilize some of the high ground, but with the Reinhardt version, there's really no point to take that high ground.
So Bebe switching here. I think the Spark want to put a bit more pressure on towards Fusions here, try and shut him down. A lot of teams have done that effectively. They identified that was how to shut him down. Godspeed! Oh, that was not the Graviton Surge they were looking for. Color Hex's one this time does not get eaten, but he gets caught out. And RCK is desuited now. Boston are down to effectively 4 players. Now Rhea just taking his time, clearing Kellex off the point. All he's really doing is stalling for the time being. Boston get to 87%. Hangzhou finally break back in, but they spend a fair bit.
It was a great read, though, by Boston. Like, they saw that Graviton Surge was going to come down, and they backed out. The Spark kind of like threw it around the corner blindly, trying to catch players on that corner. Because they knew the Spark is kind of desperate in this situation, trying to flip this point. So it can get up to 99 pretty quickly. Now we have a shatter here for Gschwind, so we'll see if we can start to rally some things here for the Spark.
Transcendence for Bebe as well. He switched towards a Zenyatta. Probably thought that high ground Ana wasn't worth it. He wasn't getting into those Vital Grenade connections. So that's the play for him for the time being. See Rhea set up on the high ground as well. RCK purposely drives the mech into the side of the pagoda just to change his trajectory somewhat. It didn't quite work out though. Gschwind's Earth Shatter, man. No dice. He's forced to back up now, and the Transcendence from Aim God is propelling the Uprising forward. Kellex, who even used his sound barrier there. Boston layering 2 support ultimates in this fight, hoping to sort of have the map one after this one, but that's not certain. Hangzhou, they will be cleaned off the point here.
Yeah, and Fusions ends up using his shadow towards the end of that, but Boston with a really clean flip. I know he talked about how difficult it is to flip this point. They come in one fight, they're able to do it. They did have a lot of support ultimates used. You have a big combo potentially coming up here for Boston with your grab.
Godspeed has one already though. Combo. There's no, oh, okay, there we go. They don't quite get there in time. Fusion charges in, knocks him out of the way.
Rhea right there.
Hey, he wanted a self-destruct, bro. Nicely done. Boston bring it back, and it was just as well, Matt, because them using both of their support ultimates in that previous fight, Godspeed was hurtling towards them with a Graviton Surge, and Boston didn't actually have the support ultimates to mitigate the impact of their damage. So, with 80, I think it was 86%, they took the point back, and it wasn't enough time. Well, actually, technically it was for Hangzhou, mate. You pointed out maybe some interesting...
There's enough time there. There is enough time there. They just did not go to the point. So, all right, let's see.
Fusions looks like my mother when she's explaining to me the difference between recycling and like throwing stuff in the trash. Like, this one goes in this bin, that one goes in the blue one, Mitch.
He's got that like when he's talking really fast, he's got that like kind of like angry type of vibe,
like a school teacher.
Interesting setup here. We have the bunker comp on a control point. So it looks like the Spark will want to probably try and take the high ground here as Crystal comes out on Bastion.
RCK just walked into all that damage, just so he got halted.
Not ideal.
It's rare to see a halt actually given as a kill. But RCK, from our perspective, as we watched it looked like he just walked into Hangzhou. Obviously, he was dragged, kicking and screaming towards him, but the result is the same. It's an early pick, and Blase went down after.
And I think it's interesting to see the Ana with the Batiste, is that I think as we see things move on, in the meta and how teams incorporate the Batiste in, I think it's really strong cooldowns and obviously can provide a ton of healing. The damage he does though with his primary fire is pretty huge, right? I think if you can take some of the healing responsibility off of the Batiste with an Ana or another primary healer, I think you can see him do a lot of nice things damage-wise. As you see, yeah, I mean, he's got Crystal here using the tank mode. Is this going to be a wash of a fight in favor of the Spark? As he's able to pick up 4. But you had IDK pick up 2 more, though, with Batiste, so he was able to take down Fusions and get the DMAC on RCK.
Look, and look, the Exo Boots allow him to play from this spot, man. I mean, normally, you can't really do this. And a character like Batiste can sit up there and actually give healing from long range via those grenades. It's pretty good. When he needs to use the Amplification Matrix, though, I guess he drops down, but it's just something that a lot of supports can't do.
From that angle, he can put the Amp Matrix in front of Crystal, so you see he actually uses the Amp Matrix here.
That's so great. Hex run! Oh, dear! Only catch a 900 DPS or something like that, Matt. It's fine.
Super normal.
Massive biotic grenade, by the way. Like, so none of that went right for Boston. Boston tried and set up on high ground. They got hit by a Bionade straight away, then EMP, then whatever Crystal did to them.
And now, you had the nano boost for one fight on the Crystal, right? To add the extra damage to the Bastion. Now you have the supercharger to add the extra damage, and you just had the Amp Matrix. So you have a lot of abilities here for the Spark that can really maximize the amount of damage that Crystal can do.
Hex can grab here, but he has to get Crystal in line of sight. If he just grabs up, it wouldn't have done anything. Oh, Fusion's trying to run forward, but Crystal's mowing them down! Oh dear! Not a soul left still standing from the Boston Uprising, and now it's 92%. That supercharger definitely helped Crystal. He didn't have to use tank configuration here. There's really no time for Boston to get back here. The closest character is Fusions, and he falls short. Once again, a map 1 falls by the wayside for the Boston Uprising. Hangzhou, though, look good. Crystal, Matt, looks like a decent addition here.
Oh, really strong addition. I think they come out with a really different look there. On that final point that Boston was not able to figure out, the Bastion makes a big difference there.
They ran straight into a hail of bullets. Map 2 is just around the corner. Boston need to bring it back.
The Overwatch League is powered by Intel. Game, record, stream without compromise on Intel Core i7. And by Omen by HP, the official PC and display of the Overwatch League.
Well, another map one going to someone who's not Boston. Hangzhou Spark looked pretty darn good on Oasis here. You know what's funny? We didn't really get to touch on it much in the pre-game, but we know the Hangzhou have been trying to use a bit more of that Sombra of late, right? And they even said that we kind of feel like we're kind of bad at it. We're really trying to get it involved. Godspeed looked much better on the Sombra in that round. Probably helps that you have a Bastion that's taking all the attention off, but still. This is what we need to see more of, integrating that hero effectively. This is a roster map of people. There's no excuse to not be able to integrate different picks into a roster like Hangzhou when you've got so much talent.
And I mean, you see this is out of 14 players, so you see a few 14s there.
What are you going to do?
Not ideal. And I think Sombra is a hero where you really need to be well coordinated with your team. You need to be relaying tons of information. It's really, Sombra's not like Tracer where you go behind enemy lines, you're able to pick up tons of final blows. You can do that as Sombra, but I think it's more of the Sombra player needs to like set up a lot of the engagements with your Winston and other heroes that are out in the field.
Also, if you're going to get eliminations with the Uzi, normally you might have to reload once or be right in front of them because there is a bit of spread. It's actually been, the spread has been made a bit easier for Sombra players to be more impactful from a distance, but yeah. Not really her job, is it? It's interesting, actually, that it's an offensive hero that's not really associated necessarily with getting those individual picks, but for setting up the rest of your team. If you think about guys like McCree and Widowmaker and even Reaper to a degree, they're not facilitators when it comes to their role. Yeah, they're supposed to be facilitated too.
I think it was, I'm pretty sure it was Zachary when we were chatting with him just a while ago when he was, when they were doing Team USA stuff. Yep. And he was saying that when he plays Sombra, like he loves to just be able to set up everybody else. Like that is his job, right? To make the hacks, to set everybody else for success.
There is a spot for the selfless DPS player. They actually exist. So Adora comes in here for Crystal. We can't hear you, bro. What's up? So substitution there mostly in the DPS spot. Previously, Adora actually played a lot with Buzzy on the same team back in the day. And we didn't get to see much of him in stage 1.
The fans like wanted to see Crystal so bad. They saw him, they won, and then I see Adora like, no, where's Crystal? But nah, Adora's pretty sick.
I would theorize as well if they're integrating a player into the roster and if there is a language barrier existing, it's probably just like, Control is much more of a fundamental brand of Overwatch. It is like team deathmatch in a way. You're just trying to kind of go out there and slap each other around. This map, though, a little bit different. The Temple of Anubis, obviously, and the Assault Archetype in general. This is where we might get to see a little bit more of that strategy emerge. Last stage, we were impressed by, Boston using fusions here on the attack and how they sort of faked.
I think also Control is really more like free-flowing. Like it's like depending on what ultimates you have and percentage kind of dictates like decisions. Yeah. Where I think the other game modes you can come in with set strategies on this, and you kind of know obviously like how kind of things play out. Yep. Usually like where you're favored in certain situations. Well,
it's because the context of where you're fighting changes over the course of a round. Whereas in Control, like we saw previously, it's the same point.
And then also you don't know how much time they've had to practice with Crystal in the lineup. So if you have not had a ton of time to get him into game shape, so to speak, I think you work him in on Control and then you go back to the lineups that you've been running. So Adora will be running Junkrat here on defense. So this is really like a year 1 composition here from the Spark. We saw this a lot last year.
Treehouse, except they're not playing up on the extreme high ground. Oh, got sleep dart towards Rhea here. What did Boston do with this one? Aim got set out nicely. Do they even... not much to be done there, unfortunately. They weren't close enough, but I like it.
So what Boston's running right now is Godspeed just rips Blaze's face off. The composition we're seeing them run right now is something that we saw the Hunters try and run.
Oh, God.
Which is interesting because nobody plays like the Hunters. Nobody attempts to play like the Hunters. This is the first time I can remember somebody seeing like a comp that the Hunters ran. It didn't work for the Hunters, being run by another team now.
See Godspeed throwing a trap behind him just to make sure if Blase was actually still there. Hex also fusions, drops in. Cowbunga. Godspeed. Bit of a splatter on the ground after that one. But what do you do from here?
So the res comes through. So now everybody back up at full strength. I tell you what, we saw that fusions and Color Hex, they got up to the high ground, but that play is actually only made possible by RCK. He actually gets a hack onto Rhea, so Rhea cannot access the high ground to try and peel for Godspeed on the Widowmaker.
And he's the only one that really could realistically peel in that way. Godspeed could be in trouble once more here. Yep, he goes down.
He gets the hack again on Rhea.
Pick him off. You saw Rhea at the bottom of your screen, spent the entire fight on the ground. Really could only just look on as his teammate got smashed. And now Bebe might be in a bit of trouble himself. Losing the Zenyatta would be devastating for the Hangzhou Spike. Again, Rhea's getting hacked again and again and again, Matt. RCK just did it once more. Severely limiting Hangzhou's flexibility. Now Rhea gets EMP'd, so really he's been able to do nothing for the entire round. He's been walking around like a pork chop. Kellex removed by Adora there. And Godspeed might be able to clean this fight up. Somehow Hangzhou recover from this, Matt.
Oh, they are able to turn it. As Godspeed comes back on Tracer, so Tracer kind of like coming back on the last-ditch effort there, trying to make a play on the point. But
how did that recover from that?
You know, yeah, the IDK was able to use Valkyrie, keep everybody topped up. They do resurrect Bebe, so they have the opportunity to use Trance, but they don't need to. Adora, when they tried to push in, they were actually just getting spammed by the Junkrat. They pushed all the way through to get the D-Mech on the Diva, but they didn't really consider the damage for the Junkrat to choke.
Looks like it might be Nanoblade time, Matt. Aim got there, just making sure he has line of sight to Hex at all times. Here comes the Riptide, and Bebe's already gone down. Hex, oh no! He went in for the play, and he also got nanoed, man. He got taken down immediately. That's pretty nasty. 2 ultimates for 1. You take that if you're Hangzhou. Unfortunately for the pink and blue, though, they're not really in a position to take command of this fight. Fusions eats up a bunch of those grenades. And the Uprising managed to take point A. That was... You have to hate that if you're Hex, but look.
Yeah.
You took one for the team, buddy.
Well, I think they'll change. I don't think Boston will stay on this now that they've used Blade and Nano.
You play 3-3 here.
So, looks like they'll play a Winston version without the Zenyatta. They'll actually have Ana here as you're going to build up towards this Nano boost rather quickly with the tanks.
This is interesting, though. No Brigitte for Hangzhou, and in reality, they have plenty of crowd control or mobility limiting abilities, but no clean stuns.
I mean, well, it's interesting. You're going to play Junkrat Mei on defense in terms of your damage dealer. So both of them really good at holding chokes. Anubis on B, really strong choke points.
That was the least convincing pile driver I've ever seen.
Adora actually goes over to Brigitte now. So
okay, they do.
Instead of the Zarya, you're going to play Mei instead. Mei, you know, a larger HP pool, able to self-heal as well. So
Fusion's got to get himself nano boosted here, and he just try to chase him with a wall. Will foil him for now. Again, he's soaking up plenty of damage. You got to give him that. Now uses that adaptive shield. Okay, 1200 health. That's totally fair. Rolling back over the point now, and then chase down Goose Ray. Bionic Grenade is going to finish him off there, despite the fact that IDK had Valkyrie. But at least he's able to get the resurrect on the main tank here, and the Uprising still haven't technically gotten a player advantage in this fight yet. Bebe was put to sleep by Aim God in the periphery, but Godspeed returns to the point. And Boston, I thought they would probably play the 3-3 map, but they still went for a dive-esque setup.
Oh, no, Gschwind used the Primal Rage. See the position he's able to get. Now has to back out. They did have to burn Transcendence to be able to get that resurrection from IDK on Gschwind to bring him back into the fight. So now you do not have one of those big support ultimates to deal with potentially a Nano Blade that'll come. You're really going to rely on, I guess, Godspeed, you know, breaking the line of sight, you know, with Color Hex trying to dive in with a Mei wall, or potentially a Blizzard here. You can get it in time, which it looks like you will.
Wall placed in the front door, but the Uprising's composition's very good at sort of not being cut off by that Mei ability. There it is there.
But I think if you group up, though, if you're the Spark, and kind of like bait the Blade in, get that Blizzard down right on top of everybody.
Oh, Godspeed! He's busy got eaten up by RCK now. Color Hex can go in with the Dragon Blade. Godspeed was forced to use the Ice Block, and now he wants to approach the point, but gonna be the self-destruct, at least to make a little bit of space for Hangzhou to mount a proper defense, but it's already been 1 tick, and Hangzhou just took a massive body grenade hit from Aim God. Goose being down, that's not a good sign. Rhea now has to step up and do most of the damage soaking duties. Adora's trying to move forward, going for a shield bash, and RCK throws that self-destruct down the backside. It's going to be a friendly body grenade for the Boston Uprising, and they've got a lot of healing going on right now, especially with the rally in play. Adora's been able to hang out here in the corner for most of the time. Fusion's just is able to get his Primal Rage as he is bashed and stunned up by Godspeed on the McCree. And now Sound Barrier for the Boston Uprising, but Fusions wants to get rid of Adora. He's been a pain. He's been sticking around for far too long. Fusion's trying to cut Gooshway off in that side room now, and a self-destruct coming in here from Rhea. Can he even the odds? No! He's out of his mech and gets taken down on another Dragon Blade from Color Hex here, but he's been pushed back, and Gooshway walks in. Don't ever talk to me or my kid ever again!
Oh, not able to make it back on the point, but that would have been sick. Gschwind went from like one side of the point, and he killed Aim God, used the Primal Rage to get back to the other side to kill Color Hex, but Boston able to take both points here on Anubis on their offense with 2 minutes in the bank.
Decent time bank. Hangzhou Spark now, we know how aggressive they can be. They'll have an opportunity after this break to make the road attack and see how those time banks stack up.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Pass into the iris.
And here we are, back on the Temple of Anubis, and it is the Boston Uprising to shift to defense here. This is how it all went down, by the way, as Godsby tries to put the Uprising on ice, playing from that high ground position, straight in, and no thank you. Finns have blizzards for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, mate. He's more than happy to take that.
And I think, well, you can't really see it from that POV, but you know, RCK had to have had some kind of idea that Godsby was up on that high ground as Vayne, because the icicles are coming down. So as soon as the blade is used, to what you're talking about, you expected the blizzard to be chucked in on the backside of the corner, and he comes right underneath. Just flicks up the D matrix, seats it up, and they move on the way to be able to secure the point. So the Spark on offense, at least thus far, look to be running. I see if IDK plays this, potentially changes. Yep, gonna play Mercy here. Is like Gschwind will stay on it. Okay, so this is what you'll run. You'll run, a Genji Widowmaker with some dive tanks with the Wilkinson and the Diva, and you need that Mercy for the resurrection, but also the damage boost on a Godspeed.
I feel like Hex is worth watching a little bit here. As a player, he has a very high critical hit accuracy, which means that when he's actually hitting people, he's very often hitting them in the head. I think it's like 40. It was 41% last time we checked.
And what the Spark need to do here is they need to get pressure up on this platform to force Color Hex off of this, because the barrier in front, there's absolutely no way that Godspeed is going to be able to challenge this one-on-one.
So you want to force him up to the back corner?
Yeah, force him up on that platform right there. Yeah.
So Godspeed gets a fair fight, right? Fusions can't give him a barrier up there. It forces Color Hex to actually play a 1v1. Color Hex doesn't seem to be aware of the fact that Adora currently staring strips off him, and IDK went down to the Poison Mine. Okay. All right.
You see something new here every day.
So the Poison Mine was placed in the right side room from where Color Hex is, so he just put it inside the room where you have to walk up. And I guess IDK just walked through that one and took a bit too much damage. Remember, Mercy's passive regeneration only works when she's out of combat.
And you see where Color Hex was playing right there, they have right in front of his position a Junkrat trap. So if they do try and just dive straight up onto him, they're going to end up in the Junkrat trap. Wherever that player is, probably not going to last very long. There goes Adora.
So he was a little bit ahead of the rest of the Spark there in that right side room where RCK currently resides.
They're going to try and res this.
Yeah. RCK tried to stop them there, but there was also an enemy Diva.
And I think if you don't make a play here, Gschwind is going to come from the backside and jump on a Color Hex. Color Hex has still not gone up for that high ground.
I have no idea how Aim God survived that, man. He was down to about 10 health for so much of that fight. Color Hex is down there, but Gschwind has to give up his life for it. Blase is trying to play out of line of sight here, surprise his foes, and he's done just that. The DC on Rio was huge. A lot of burst there as he threw the remote mine in. Gives him a little cheeky punch. And a Riptide, just for good measure. Straight up to the high ground here, and now IDK had no chance of getting away from that one. Blase, unable to take action while he was using Riptide, was found by Adora, but the Hangzhou Spark are crumbling now.
And I wonder if you'll have a little bit of an advantage here for the Spark, though. You have the few ultimates to use that we'll see from Adora's POV. Did he go into a trap here?
Yeah, the classic, fam.
They put the trap.
Watch out for them Aussies, he'll get you.
So you have walls here for Color Hex. So it's going to be a Primal Rage here used by Gschwind to kick things off. He's just trying to put pressure on Aim God to get the Transcendence out.
Ooh, I think Aim God would have liked to a Transcendence to keep Color Hex alive, man, but he didn't have a chance to respond. Still, a Resurrect was able to occur among the Transcendence healing by Kellex, but Lucy Blase now still leaves Boston there to play a disadvantage. Transcendence now for the Hangzhou Spark, and they're just going to pad out those health pools a little bit here, Matt. This should be a fairly open and shut fight.
So the Spark finally able to break on through. You had to use everything you had. I mean, that was really, if you lose that fight, if you're the Spark, you're kind of done. Boston, very good defense there on point A. They're still in a good position for the map, right? So now the Spark don't have any ultimates. They're probably going to change some comps. So you're looking at the Spark. Well, now that they're going to run over to the Reinhardt version of the triple tank triple support, Boston will do the same. You're kind of resetting ultimates across the board on everybody. So it's actually, it doesn't really hurt the Spark as bad as you originally thought.
There's no snowball potential for them.
Yeah.
Off the back of that fight.
But they're also not having 2 fights, let's say, or 3 fights behind an ultimate.
I mean, you don't want to play Orisa here. You don't want to play Widow on defense. You just don't have the space. Reasonable for defenders to switch now. Self-destruct in the back corner. That's cheeky. Doesn't work, though. Blase caught out early, and Fusions was essentially caught between 2 Hangzhou Spark players. Bebe is able to take down the unshielded Reinhardt. And that was a very quick start to the fight. No ultimates required here. Just getting picks. Really, it shouldn't be that easy for Hangzhou map, but they found their openings, and Boston may have overextended somewhat. Self-destruct thrown to the back corner, probably just to buy a little bit of space for Boston as they try and rally the troops and regroup. Fusions is closing in on a shatter here, and it could be massive. Transcendence now thrown into the fight by Aim God. Boston now have a chance. The Spark took their time pushing forward, and it might hurt them here. Bebe forced the Transcendence as well. Blase again has the shield bash out of the way. Somehow still alive, and there it is, the shatter. It's 3 from Fusion, then it's Bebe to go down first. That's what they were looking for. Hangzhou a little bit tentative, a little bit uncertain of themselves, and not able to press the advantage early. And Boston clamber back into the driver's seat.
Oh, and it's huge. As you'll see, the stagger here, they'll come in as Rhea in the Pilot Diva form, just trying to get somebody to take him out. The big play there for Boston. So Boston actually goes down at the beginning of that fight and actually looks really good for the Spark.
They lose their Ryan and Brig.
Yeah, well, the biggest thing is Kelix actually boops 3 players from the Spark to the low ground, which the Spark have to back out. And that's when you were like, oh, well, hey, why aren't we seeing them push on through? They had some members that had to go all the way around to the other side to get back up to the top platform. That allowed Boston to restabilize and get set up on the point.
And that was a fantastic way to relieve the pressure there from Kelix. That's the stuff you want to look out for here, especially on this map. The moat isn't that low, but you have to go in a very roundabout manner to get back up to the high ground. All right, early bubble for Fusions here. He's getting knocked around a little bit by Gschwind, who would love to shut up. Oh, Godspeed! Feeds him yet another one. This time it's on Nazaya. No grab for the Hangzhou Spark, but Boston, you better believe they've had one in reserve, and they get Bebe early in the fight. IDK forced to use the sound barrier now, but Hangzhou are running on just the fumes of fuel right now. That's it. And they'll get chased down. The Boston Uprising push forward.
And you see with that hold, you're going to go in ahead here for Boston in terms of time bank, regardless of when the Spark would finish this. They'll have that advantage to work with if the Spark do complete this. But
we talked about obviously Note, who was previously on this Boston roster. Very good at getting those eliminations, getting those pickups here. RCK definitely appears to be a little bit more defensively geared in a lot of these maps with the Diva.
I think it's just a difference in playstyle, and I think also RCK gives you more flexibility in the role, able to play the Sombra.
Absolutely.
We see the Dallas Fuel play. It'll be interesting, how they utilize Note. Note, a fantastic player.
Looking forward to that very much. Also, the homestand weekend coming up. Going to Dallas. But in the meantime, let's pay attention right here, right now. The Spark are down to 1 minute and 7 seconds. They've got to transcend. They've got a grab coming up very soon. But Fusions would like to get an early shot and really shut them down. He gets shield bash, though. Might be an opportunity now as he's knocked out of the fight, though. And Aim God didn't go for the Transcendence. Might be saving for a little bit later now. It's going to be the Graviton. A Graviton without Fusion's present is very interesting timing. Don't know about that one. Gschwind now going to charge herself to strut across the point and use his shield to block it. RCK down to Godspeed. And Hangzhou Spark now can look pretty comfortable here later in the round. There'll be some stall from Fusions on that Wrecking Ball. Adaptive shield is pretty great. Stays alive long enough for a couple more reinforcements to start trickling in. The May from Blase was very short-lived. Carla Hex is going to be using up all these blinks here. No optometrist nearby, sadly. And that'll be the D-suit there on RCK. Good way to push his time down. If they can get Hangzhou into overtime, it would be huge for Boston. It's unlikely that they're going to be able to do it here as they're going in 1s and 2s. Aim God now switching over towards Winston.
But that's how they want to go. They want to just send one person in at a time to try and trickle in.
10 seconds. Can they survive?
Still on May here. He gets pushed off the point. And,
not quite.
Almost had it there for Boston. So
remember, taking that to overtime would have meant that Hangzhou would not have had a chance to attack again. Boston were definitely looking to try and take the map away But they're happy enough, man. They have a much bigger time bank. Hangzhou gets boosted up to 1 minute as they ended up with less than that time. And Boston has also given it an extension on their own time bank now. So it's 2 minutes 58, plays 1 minute. That's the difference in time. We'll see you now as these teams duke it out to find a winner. With 3 times the time bank of their opposition, Boston get the pleasure of defending first against Hangzhou. And if you remember last time, it went fairly well for Boston. They trimmed about 3.5 minutes off of the clock when Hangzhou were attacking.
And the Spark,
hey, getting a map 2 win for Boston would also be nice.
Yeah, I mean, with only a minute on the clock, the Spark don't have a lot of time to kind of mess around if they're running this Orisa, Widowmaker, Junkrat setup. Like, they had difficult breaking it the first time. Boston almost got a full hold. Let's see if they can do a little bit better this time. Gschwind just getting
can't hide.
Coming out as well.
Can't hide there! Hex takes him down. Gschwind maybe not aware of exactly how much of his character model was protruding from either side of the statue. He'll be resurrected, but it's precious seconds that are being stripped off the clock.
Well, now you don't have a res, and we're at 30 seconds on the clock here. And you had to use your res in the spawn.
Oh, gosh.
He almost gets killed again.
RCK as well in a great position. Gschwind, oh man, he's low. He might have got caught in a trap from Blase there.
What, this would be Boston's first map 2 win. You know, obviously they were going on offense and able to take it like a month. So right now, it's the Spark trying to set up a dive here. They're gonna have to dive. Color Hex on the high ground, and actually touch the point here.
Color Hex already sending a message to Adora saying, I will play whack-a-mole with you if you try and peek me. Adora with the reflect there. Color Hex waiting it out now. It's close quarters here. The headshot though. Look at Adora, look how low he is. He has to back away. Color Hex is able to get the health, and Adora was trapped for a brief period of time. Blaze's brought back into the fight. No Rhea for Hangzhou. No Gschwind either now. Adora has to commit to the point, and this is not where you want to be as Genji. You do not want to be in the center of attention, but here he is. He's used his deflect now. Where does he go? He wonders. He says, I just have to keep the point going, but that won't be enough. Color Hex also getting Godspeed across the map, and that was pretty short-lived for the Hangzhou Spark, but that's all the time that they had left.
Yeah, not a lot the Spark can do there, but a good defense from Boston. Color Hex able to pick up Gschwind right in the beginning of the round. They have to go for a res. It basically cuts the Spark round in half in terms of how much time was wasted there, having to have Gschwind hide, make some changes to the comps, then he dies, then the resurrection. Before you actually initiated the dive, we're down to about 10 seconds left.
I mean, you saw what happened to Adora when he tried to challenge Color Hex. He got shot in the head, had to back away with about 20 health.
But the issue is they don't have a D.Va to go with, because the D.Va was the one who has to contest the point. If they have 30 seconds on the clock, let's say, to make that play happen, you can make a little bit more of a play for that high ground. It's just that first death from Gschwind is it's huge for Boston. It's also kind of unexplainable for the Spark.
The Uprising can't be satisfied with just a draw on this map.
No.
They otherwise, you know, if either map 2 or 3 are lost by them, it's over. They absolutely have to get a clean win here. I mean, they're well set up to do it. 3 minutes, they're going to play that, you know, aggressive dive-focused wrecking ball composition that we saw him try last time, Matt.
Yeah.
Some of these 1v1s will be quite important.
Yeah, we saw the Hunters run this, but it was against a bunker comp on the other side with the Bastion and the Batiste. But you get Fusions on a Wrecking Ball, who's a very strong dive tank, who has a ton of self-sustain, and then you also have the 3 flankers with Genji, Tracer, and Sombra. So
Color Hex checking his corners. Oh, I remember that trap placement. That's exactly where my Junkrat puts it. Now, Biotic Grenade will be quite important here, especially if Gschwind is forced to move to the point and shield up elsewhere. Color Hex got hit by a Poison Mine, so Godspeed is aware of his presence, and Aim God lingers too long in the crosshairs.
What's interesting for the Uprising is that we know that they're running the Lucio Ana here, is none of them actually made it through the choke. They had both of them just playing on the outside. I think when the Spark realized that, And Gschwind, Dora, and Godspeed just put their focus on the front. And then I think at that point, Rio's just waiting for Godspeed to get dove on.
It's another poison mine triggered by Color Hex here. He went a little bit low, has to back out, but Godspeed is down, so essentially his job has been done. Now it's focusing on some of these bigger bodies, maybe getting a Dora out of the mix. That's probably what Blase is looking for right now. The longer Junkrai gets to hang around in the fight, the harder it's going to be for Fusions, who almost walked into a trap there, but he got away, and Bebe's fallen to Kellex, who was playing up on the high ground. He just went for the 1v1 clean. Now, I mean, this is not ideal for IDK. Adora also got Bionic Grenaded, still having to get rid of Kellex here. Pulse Bomb, big stick, a lot of damage on towards Ria. He and Gschwind are both low, but they're holding their ground so far. The tanks on the Hangzhou Spark on the last line of defense, and it may not be enough. Adora will hide behind the shield for the time being. Blase forced into another recall and straight into a grenade. But now it's just Adora. He's low, but he's using the shield well. Godspeed is actually here. He's playing on that high ground, I think. Bebe returns now. EMP. Bebe managed to avoid getting EMP. No, he actually got caught by it. He tried to break line of sight with that corner, but it wasn't enough. Map 2 goes over towards the Boston Uprising. It's not been much lately that they've been able to get at least a map in the first 2 of a series. So it's a good sign for Boston and a good recovery map.
Yeah, no reverse sweep here for Boston. Don't exactly, well, you could still get it, right? I mean, if you lose the first one, win 3 more, but still, you get that second map win on the board there for the Boston Uprising. Winning map number 2, which they haven't done in a month. See how they react coming out of halftime.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.
ultimate is charging.
Looks like no reverse sweep for Boston in this one after the Spark took our first map in this series. It was the Uprising bouncing back to take Anubis and tie things up at 1 apiece. Welcome back into the Blizzard Arena. We got some Boston fans getting rowdy here in my front row. We've got Josh, we've got Bren, and we got a pretty good series on our hands. We see the Spark coming off a big 0-4 loss. Today we wanted to see, can they bounce back? And for Boston, this is a team that's coming off 3 reverse sweeps. That means they lose their first 2 games and then win the next 3 to steal the series. Today, it's all tied up at the half. We're not going to get a reverse sweep.
And that bothers me. Why have they done this?
Does it
Why
bother
did they
you?
make
Come on,
it 1.5? I wanted them to keep setting the record, keep showing us the magic, and keep losing map 2s. Wait,
Sure.
Nah,
I mean,
probably
I'm
not
sure
the best
Huck is
plan.
very appreciative of the
I'm
fact
sure
that
he
they
is.
managed to take an assault maps.
Brian, one of the bonuses of this series, though, is we finally get to see a familiar face from the World Cup. For anyone who tuned in, Crystal was a big member of a squad that went the distance, went to the finals. We see him back in the lineup now for the Spark. What did he show you today?
Yeah, this guy, if you're not familiar familiar with Crystal, you may recognize him. Actually, he was on Team China in the Overwatch World Cup, went all the way to the finals, as you said, Puckett. Unfortunately locked on Brigitte, but he did flex over to the Bastion a little bit later in map 1, and he put up a performance. I mean, this is what we're expecting from Crystal. He's also got a fantastic Genji on him as well. He's a really, really good player, and a lot of people were wondering why have they not seen him sooner. The main reason, in my mind, is probably going to be language issues, because he does speak Mandarin. The rest of the team is Korean, so there's been that issues. They had the same problem with Gschwind. That's why they weren't running him as much, sort of flexing him in and out.
They did fix that, though, right? Which makes me wonder.
I mean, people
exactly
learn languages at different rates, Josh. So, mate, I don't know. They don't lose it as a consistent
You still
rate.
haven't learned English, have you?
I know, it's an issue.
Working on it.
I
Josh,
would like to see them run Crystal even more in Anubis, actually. They didn't manage to pull out the map win on Anubis, and you saw them sub in Adora, who was playing a lot of the Genji and stuff like that. Now, Gschwind and Crystal were amazing at the World Cup on Anubis, because Crystal is a fantastic Genji, a really aggressive Junkrat, just plays all of those heroes to a super high level, can also flex on a Widow if you need him to at times. I would have loved to see him come out there and play for them there.
Well, I know you did break down a specific play. It's not from the Spark, though. What were we looking at from Boston today, Josh?
So I wanted to take a little bit of a look at how Boston are playing on Assault, because they haven't been winning it very much recently. So in my Insights part by Intel, I'm going to run you through what's been going on in this match in particular. Now, you may have heard on the cast, Matt Mr. X Morello, the man with the walnut brain. I mean that in the kind of sense.
Like
very
a crocodile.
Yeah, he's talking about the Anubis defense. Now, this is a classic Anubis defense. You got your Junkrat, you got your Widowmaker, big sightlines. So teams tend to play dive compositions to try and get onto the Widowmaker and find those picks. And now, the Boston Uprising often don't play with this diva, but now they've got RCK in the lineup instead of Note, they're gonna rotate their strats around him. A lot of Sombras, just build up EMP, but RCK doesn't. He goes for individual hacks on targets that then allow them to set up on other people. So now he's gonna try and target the diva for the Spark, because the diva would normally be the person that helps out this Widowmaker up top. So look here, he goes in, he manages to find the hack on Rhea, but they don't go for Rhea. They're not going for the target that he's put the hack onto. They go instead for Godspeed, and this was run multiple times throughout, and it's a really nice setup that they can only do with RCK in the lineup. Again here, the hack comes in on Rhea. Do they go for Rhea? No, they don't. This time, they go for another target that Rhea would love to defend with his defense matrix. It's Bebe, the Zenyatta. They go in, they find that pick, Color Hex dives in, they manage to find him. It's a really nice execution of a strategy they can only really run with RCK. But here's the issue. Again, when these kind of 50-50 things happen and the setup is really nice from Boston, they lose the clutch scenarios. So this has been an issue that's been plaguing the Boston Uprising. Last year, they had Striker in. They had players that could clutch. This time, in this season, it has been an issue for them. Over the course of this entire map, it wasn't, but it's still something to keep in mind for the future, that Boston's issue with Assault has previously been the setups are good, the execution isn't. Thankfully, though, Color Hex managed to pull out the win at the end of this one. But something to keep in mind is that they still look a little shaky on these Assault maps.
Josh, you're 1 for 1 so far with your predictions. You called the first ever win for the Valiant earlier. Now, how does the second half play out?
I think Boston Uprising have still got the advantage here because they were previously able to win even when they're 0-2 down. I mean, they must be twice as likely when they're 1-1 at the half, right? That's how maths works?
Not really, but we'll run with it. You know, we'll go with it. I mean, for me personally, I think I am sort of leaning more towards Boston now as it goes. They're a team that heat up as the series goes on. As we've already mentioned, you know, they're coming off the back of 3 reverse sweeps.
I wonder if they take their foot off the gas, though. If they don't have that pressure of needing to execute the reverse sweep, do we still see them come out of the half looking that fantastic? The pressure isn't there.
We're about to find out. Game 3 coming up after this. Don't go anywhere. We got plenty more Overwatch League coming your way after the break.
They don't just play for a team. They play for every fan, every rival, every moment, every match. And when everyone watching expects the best, they perform with the best.
Interesting thoughts at half-time, Matt, as we start to break into and break down this particular series. Boston bring back map number 2. We talked about a lot of RCK doing some huge work on that Sombra.
Yeah, no, Sideshow kind of talked about exactly what we were talking about.
Stole your homework, actually.
Yeah, I mean, he just went even further in depth with his insight.
I mean, that's what these
That's
job
what
is.
the whole
so
segment is.
that's
So, yeah, but no, RCK makes a difference on Sombra. Just getting the hacks, like individual hacks on players, it makes it pretty easy to set plays up. And I don't want to say easy, but when you're trying to make those plays towards the top high ground, right, and you're diving, and you know whose responsibility is on the other team to get up to that high ground, make the play, he's able to take those abilities away. Not even a chance that they can get up to that. You see the map set here, we go to Blizzard World next, but I feel like Sombra, for some teams, really strong, like you see for Boston. Now they're able to incorporate Sombra into play. Godsby, when we showed the stats for the Sombra play for Hangzhou, doesn't actually get a lot of hacks in general. No, just kind of value, I guess, the information.
I mean, I'm pretty sure that their odds of winning a teamfight drop after using EMP.
Not ideal.
Look, you know, we brought up his stats at the start of the show. Obviously, they don't look stellar, but Hangzhou have already said that they're trying to find a good way to integrate him into the roster. So we may not see that be a strategy that they trend towards in this series, especially seeing what Boston are able to do with their Sombra play. You might just think it might not be a case of if you can't beat them, join them. The Boston Uprising on defense here. On offense, sorry, should I say? Yeah. Just flipped around. We should. I'd like to see double sniper. I don't think we will, but.
Yeah, so it will be the spark on defense here, so get that swapped up for you guys. But it'll be Boston on offense. I think if Boston, we'll see what they decide to run. They decide to run some like what we're seeing now. Okay, so they're gonna go back and switch. Interesting, because you can, with Boston's composition, what they were running with the damage dealers, you can take advantage of the Reinhardt positioning on defense. Because they can't really go back and contest. You force them into the back corner. You get a lot of people, split off. A lot of flanking opportunities. You make something happen. This time, though, they switch it up. They go with the Sombra version of the Goat's composition. So they'll have Sombra in place of a Diva here. As you'll be able to get these hacks potentially on a Gschwind. Force him to back up.
Fusions, they're doing work. See, Godsby and Rio were taking a little bit low there. Calahex and Blase took a ton of damage on the crackback, though. But Gschwind's in trouble. He's being harassed by RCK from the backside. Rio gets hacked again. He spent the entire game, man, not being able to do anything. And that's allowed the Boston Uprising at least to make their way onto the point here. Rio is now no longer hacked, but Boston working their way in a pole position slowly but surely here. Adora has a rally, gonna go for it straight away. Gschwind was once more hacked, but was still able to deal with Blase and Fusions. Huge contribution there from the main tank of the Hangzhou Spark, and Boston crumpled.
Yeah, they use the nano boost on Gschwind. He does get hacked once he gets the nano, so not able to charge or use a fire strike, but still just the raw damage output that comes out from the Reinhardt good enough. You don't have any of your support ults yet if you're the Spark, where you're not playing like a Zenyatta here on defense.
You kind of used both the nano and the rally.
But I mean, Sound Barrier would be ideal when the grab comes through, but they're going to use the grab early here from Godsby. This forced up transit. Oh, they walk right into a big EMP.
6 players all caught by that one, and that's just how Boston drew it up by the looks of things. RCK now able just to hack Godsby and keep him off to the side, and the fragment of the Hangzhou Spark that got cut off by Boston, that is the fragment of them, by the way, that tried to follow up on the grab. They get absolutely deleted. Great reactive play from RCK.
And I kind of get the plan there from the Spark, is that they didn't want to sit back, get forced into a corner via a lot of hacks, and then eventually get 6-man EMP, and then things fall apart. They try and get aggressive, because maybe they think that RCK in a losing effort won't use the EMP, but they use Transcendence, the EMP, then they use their Graviton Surge, and they end up sealing the fight.
Fortune favors the bold sometimes, just not today, apparently. So there's another nano boost here for the Spark, but Gschwind already has an Earth Shatter, so they need to try and charge that up quickly. Fusion's nearing his Reinhardt ultimate, and Baby needs to be careful. He almost got his head taken clean off there by End got range. Another EMP, another big one of that. 5 people get caught by that, and Fusions follows up immediately with a Fire Strike. Nothing you can do. The only reason Baby didn't get hacked by that is because he was playing so far back after getting taken low.
I think, well, so I think the issue you run into when you're the Spark is that you can't engage any of these fights where you think they have EMP with Sound Barrier, because it all gets ripped off. If you hold on to Sound Barrier for when they grab, because that's the only real sustained ultimate you have, they will EMP and then they'll remove it then. When do you use Sound Barrier? There's not really a great time. You get like
immediately after. Yeah, immediately after your opponent's
EMP, you have to hide, right?
Well, I mean, like, teams are doing that though, Matt. Teams are playing around EMP. I just don't think they expected RCK to have it so fast. That was very quick. All right, Gschwind, well, he gets propelled forward there a little bit. Earthshatter going to come in now. No one caught by that one. So Gschwind able just to step back up on the payload. Couple steps back. Double bionic grenade on towards the Uprising, but they're not perturbed by that at all. They're going to keep pushing forward, and now with Gschwind having gone down, Hex needs to be careful. There is a D.Va above him, and he notices Rhea is there, so he doesn't go for a grab that could have been eaten.
They're just letting RCK do way too much. Usually you see it's the D.Va's position to get in and get the Sombra out.
Oh, nasty!
I mean, the grab comes out late there from Hex. You're able to pick up 2 in the cart, but
Gschwind's getting staggered here.
They're just allowing RCK to get behind enemy lines, and usually you see the D.Va, like when the Sombra pops out, like fly directly at the Sombra, put some rockets in, deter them from going in the flank constantly. You just see RCK just living on the flank.
Matt, I think this is the style that Hangzhou wish they could play.
Yeah, this is what they try and do.
Bear in mind here, like Godsby, you know, is playing the Sombra, but now you see he's playing the Zarya here. So what do? Do they have like? They want Rhea to be the one that would play the Sombra, right, to allow them to still have Zarya.
And they're so scared, the Spark, to wait and potentially use some of these ultimates that they throw them in early, like their Gravitons have been used and whatnot, because they're scared of the EMP that's eventually going to come. He's gonna hit like 6 here. They're gonna get like a shatter off of this as well.
They're playing in the crook of this L-shaped corner. They're pushing forward. Okay, Reinhardt gets hacked first. So look at that. RCK pulls the entirety of the Spark back just for that. His translocator was a little bit too close there, but 3 people get knocked down by the shatter from Fusions. And RCK, he's living the dream. He does not have to EMP.
That is such a good play in the fact that he sees that the Spark are pushing up, and there's nobody that's going to contest him on the high ground. So why burn EMP? Just hack Gschwind and then just win the fight with the shatter. Now you have EMP for the final fight. You have EMP and grab.
You have everything. You have almost literally everything. RCK will hide in the corner, plotting his next move, and it's going to be 5. People get Earthshattered now. IDK actually does not get EMP'd there. The rest of the team do, but really that sound barrier doesn't mean anything, Matt, when there's going to be a Graviton Surge to back it up. Support ults get layered there by the Boston Uprising, but they may not really need to worry about that one, as this may well be the last fight. Rhea does a good job of keeping her payload stalled out, but with Bebe and Godsby being forced off towards the side, the Spark just got completely bent into a pretzel.
The Spark got rolled there, but if you are trying to improve your Sombra play and you want to watch one of the best Sombras I think we have, and just the positioning and how he's able to use the hacks, RCK is a tremendous watch. Completely dominated that first.
And you'll see more of that Sombra. Check it out on the command center if you haven't. And Spark definitely got to be feeling a bit frustrated by that one. Do they bring a Sombra? Can they bring a Sombra? That's probably the more pertinent question. You'll get the answer to that one and more right after this.
Coca-Cola is the official refreshment of the Overwatch League.
Tell you what, the Boston Uprising, what a blazing attack on Blizzard World here. And You have to say there's a lot of factors contributing to that one, but again, the Sombra play has been great. RCK, did a great job with this one on Anubis, but this guy is forcing the Hangzhou Spark to live like the Amish right now. They have no appliances, no power. Their mice don't even work.
Yeah. I mean, right now, I mean, he has been completely dominant in the first half. You had like 26 enemies hacked, so that's like plus the EMPs that he's connecting. So I believe it was 10 enemies hacked, so 16 come off the EMPs. But I mean, those 10 hacks are huge. Just taking the abilities offline, whether it's Rhea or Gschwind, and forcing the supports into tough positions, I think definitely has made a difference here for Boston. Just gives them another look where usually you look at trades and you kind of, everyone's like, oh, like who won the trade? Like I think the note for RCK one is where I think both teams can end up winning. Because you have RCK now who comes over to Boston. He can play the Sombra, which gives them a new look, which they weren't able to do. He can play D.Va at a high level as well. And then the Dallas Fuel, they get Note, who's a tremendous D.Va player. It doesn't really play much Sombra from what we've seen. But you also do have Zachary on that roster who can play the Sombra. So I think you'll definitely see some of that from the Dallas Fuel. Interesting from the Spark here. So they
Not sure I understand the purpose of the teleporter there. I guess they might have been trying to fake a bunker comp on attack.
No, I think probably that they know they want to run the Reinhardt to get him in position. They have some other players, and you can use the teleporter to get back to the spawn swap pretty quick if you wanted.
That allows them to make quick hero switches to get back into the fight.
So now let's see the difference here between the Spark running the Sombra and what we just saw from Boston. So really the kind of mind game here is between Godsby and RCK. RCK now playing D.Va here for Boston on defense. Can he just pressure Godsby enough to not allow him to make that big of an impact?
Or they're not going to give the Spark room to use the Sombra again. Like Boston, if they start to push up on defense, it'll make it a little bit harder for Godsby to have time to actually get the job done. You can see that the Uprising have a decent idea of approximately where Godsby is right now. They can't see him, of course, he's invisible. Well, they are trying to spam a couple of those chokes. So they push in now. Godsby's halfway towards his EMP. Keep an eye on that one as it ticks up. You'll know that's when he's also doing a lot of damage. That's not ideal for RCK. Almost a D-suit, but not quite. Looks like there wasn't a repair pack available just then. Looks like it was used just now.
But you can see they want to put pressure on Godsby. So he does get a hack there on Achilios. Now trying to make a play as looks like a boot comes in there from IDK, knocking some players around there. For the Spark as the Uprising, they got some guys falling.
Yeah, it looks like Godsby's less selective about his hack targets map, but it didn't really seem to matter in that moment. Okay, so it's going to be Transcendence here to try and get RCK back into the mech for more stall, theoretically. Didn't really work out, though. Aim God also going to go down now, and Hangzhou have 5 ultimates. This is where we might see a bit of a snowball.
Now, where we usually see RCK setting things up with a lot of hacks, that time Godsby only gets 1 enemy hack. The fight, though, pretty much decided right after that as the Spark have, they're getting closer to all 6 of their ultimates. Got 5 of them on the board right now. Nothing really just yet for Boston. Shatter online. They'll have a big self-destruct here. As RCK is a pretty good placement with that. I think if you're Boston, you want to play this close. Both Reinhardt's stunned.
Oh, that's huge!
Yeah.
EMP might not even matter here. Gschwind got set up for that one. I'm pretty sure Fusion's got in there with a charge or something, and you don't even bother now going for an EMP.
Yeah, both Reinhardts actually ended up like charging into each other, and they both knocked each other down. And I think if you're Boston, you wanted to play closer up here, so RCK's going to get escorted back to the spawn. He may play Sombra of Zone. Yep, they're gonna go right at him in the Sombra on Sombra game here.
Color Hex has no charge right now. Definitely wants, if you're going to play high ground Zaya, that's fine, but you obviously want to be able to give your teammates bubbles and damage. Boston from the high ground here. I mean, they're switching over towards the Sombra of their own, which I kind of like. We won't do much to shut down the Zaya, so that's a huge Earth Shatter. Color Hex, what can he really do? He tries to body block a little bit. He doesn't go for Graviton, which is reasonable in that situation, but they just got shattered. Simple as that.
Yeah, they come in with the EMP plus the Earth Shatter as long as Godsby connects with Fusions. Fusions doesn't have the shield. They have nothing to block the Shatter. They run on through. I think this next fight will probably be the most interesting one. Grav and Transcendence available here for Boston. Double support ult here for the Spark, though, so they do have the ability to power through this.
Let's see if they got some defense now, the Boston Uprising. Double Graviton here, IDK, Sound Barrier straight away. Oh, they laid those support ultimates, though. Oh, okay, Hangzhou go for both of those now. So they won't be able to give that healing for as long as they would have liked. May not matter, but it's going to be a 5-man EMP, and Rhea goes down first. Blase missing. And Kellex and Co trying to play pretty passively here. The Spark do not feel confident pushing forward right now. I believe for a moment there was a hack on towards their Brigitte. Adorad was, but that EMP should seal the deal now as Color Hex will only be able to hold off for so long.
Yeah, Color Hex does build up another Graviton Surge, though, during the fight. You use one and then builds up another one here, so... The Spark, they'll look pretty good on offense, as they have an opportunity to finish with more time in the bank, where we're talking about how they've struggled running the Sombra of their own. You know, they'd like to run it, they're just not running it as well as some of the other teams.
Speaking of running, Godspeed needs to do just that. He doesn't get away. He hangs out a little bit too long. Perhaps his translocator was destroyed in flight, or whatever it was. He gets picked off early. That will allow the Boston Uprising not only to just have a couple moments to breathe, but also to play a bit further forward. Fusion now has a shatter.
I mean, any way that Boston can make this costly for the Spark here, it's great. Like, if you can play close, they have, you know, Rally and Transcendence. If you can get like one of these out, then you have all three your support ultimates, you're looking good for Boston.
Boston repair packed RCK there. He got revealed while he was invisible, so good spy checking from Hangzhou. A shatter attempt there from Gschwind. Not really going to work, but RCK was actually getting hacked there by Godspeed. That's a better Earth Shatter, though, from the Boston Uprising. And there is no coming back from that one. Not right now, anyway.
It's a massive shatter there from Fusions. Connects with 3. Now you're in a great spot if you're Boston. EMP pretty much guarantees you a fight. Rhea has Grab coming up. That'll be it, really, as, well, EMP getting close here for the Spark, but yeah, both support ultimates. So when the Grab comes out, potentially you could use the Transcendence, and then maybe after that, Godspeed will try an EMP. If you have them hide, you get the sound barrier. I actually think the Transcendence is actually forced out here by Godspeed. So you had AimGod playing all the way in the back. So you end up losing this fight pretty quickly if you're the Spark. But forcing out the Transcendence, pretty big there from Godspeed.
Yeah, you don't like that if you're Boston.
No,
you really just wanted to go into that fight and use an EMP, and it should have been a clean win. Wasn't the case, though, and now Hangzhou have an EMP, and also there's no... Honestly, AimGod should hide anyway, but... I mean, it's going to be a matter of Kellex now trying to get a sound barrier after the EMP. If Boston get too aggressive here, they could walk straight into it now. They fight forward. This isn't terrible. Boston will have another fight before the end of the match.
Yeah, it's really good patience there from the Spark. Boston, what they wanted to do is they wanted to get aggressive and have the Spark use their EMP like Boston did that one time, but the Spark got aggressive and they walked right into it. Boston wanted them to use the EMP when they got aggressive there, and they didn't. And now you're in trouble if you're Boston. As
they did grab at least.
Yeah, but I mean, you're going to have all 3 support ultimates, Shatter plus EMP. I mean, if this EMP is good from Godspeed, you land a big Shatter, you finish the map.
Godspeed's looking for Kellex here. I don't think he is.
They're trying to hide Color Hex as well.
Yeah, that's the EMP, though. 4 players caught by that one. Color Hex being one of them. Sound barrier was good. It was able to be applied. Kellex avoided getting EMP'd, but the rest of the Boston Uprising got cut down way too fast. So Hangzhou finished with about 1 minute and 5 seconds on the clock. That's pretty good, considering things started a little bit dubiously for them on this attack.
Yeah, they just did a really nice job there towards the end, being patient with that EMP. Godspeed not using it when Boston decided to push. Just those little plays where you hold on to those ultimates, keep good track of the other ones. Gives you a position to potentially win the map. See how it concludes right after this.
Not a lot of time separating these two teams. We kind of know now that on Blizzard World, neither have a lot of defense. You know, even finishing the map is sometimes quite difficult, given its length overall, the time it takes to traverse it from one end to the other. But Boston have, you know, about 1 minute and 10 seconds of a lead on Hangzhou here, which can melt away, Matt, in the course of a couple fights.
Yes, the Spark come out with the same type of setup here. They'll probably use the Pharah to kind of gauge what they see. They teleport a few players, and they decide what they're going to run outside of this. So they're going to run the Zenyatta Lucio Brigitte with the Ryan Zarya, and they're going to run Godspeed on the Sombra yet again.
I guess they use that Symmetra instead of using Sombra to scout in this map, because it's a bit easier to get caught out in chokes and revealed.
Sombra look here for Boston on defense. So the last time they were on defense, they ran RCK and D.Va. This time right away. No games here for the Boston Uprising. They're going to ring him out on Sombra.
Yeah, starting with the Sombra here instead of the Diva. So I wonder how that goes for Boston. You know, obviously RCK is going to be looking for Godspeed, but also continuing to just pressure Rhea, Gschwind down.
They're trying. You see how aggressive they are being right now? The Spark, they got a hack on RCK. They tried to finish him off, just not fast enough.
Now, where does the hack go from the Uprising side? RCK needs some time to become invisible once more. And it was Godspeed that got hacked there. So both Sombras are trying to hack each other here. There might be more on the line than just trying to win here on the map, perhaps. Just trying to mess each other up completely. RCK, though, was hacked once more. They're just trading blows, figuratively speaking. First EMP, though, is going to be RCK. Matt, he is so far ahead of Godspeed in charging up that ultimate that he can end the round right here. It's 4 for the EMP, and Adora gets cut down straight away. Bebe, he's able to go for the Transcendence here, but they've already lost IDK and Adora. Only one support left. Rhea, this has to be a huge Graviton surge here, and it's pretty darn good, but he went down early. Color Hex did fall to Gschwind now, and an EMP coming from the Hangzhou Spark. A couple players left up, and it's enough for the Uprising to stay alive. RCK gets the first EMP, and the Spark were too far behind to come back after that.
And I wonder if towards the end there, the Spark just changed. You know, they had both EMP and Shatter at the same time. Gschwind shatters, then the EMP. I wonder if, because there's players for Boston actively charging at Gschwind. I believe nobody gets hit by that Shatter, though, because Fusion put a shield up the last moment. But if they use the EMP, then the Shatter, I wonder if they're able to turn that around. They had their Reinhardt, their Zenyatta in their Sombra in position in a fight where you're about even in terms of players.
The difficult part about it is that, yes, you know, Rhea came forward obviously on that Zarya. He wanted to, you know, use a Graviton Surge, but he didn't have his shield back yet after the EMP. Yeah. So, you know, yeah, he was able to use his abilities once more, but as he walked up into Boston to grab them, he just got blown up because he only had 200 health as opposed to 400 with that extra shield.
You know, obviously a difference in playtime for the two Sombras, but to give you an idea of where we're at, 47 enemies hacked for RCK to Godspeed's 19. Godspeed does have the advantage in terms of final blows, though. So finishing players off, I think it's just a very different play style between the two.
We mentioned that before, haven't we? About, you know, who they're trying to hack. Are they trying to, you know, start fights or be reactive? RCK has shown some really interesting reactive looks on this map. You know, EMPing after his team gets Graviton or after the enemy team tries to sound barrier.
That time, in the previous round, it was a lot of trying to go for hacks on each other. Godspeed trying to hack RCK, RCK trying to return the favor. You just saw RCK put down way more damage in that round.
It's almost like
Godspeed.
You're hacking the other Sombra so they can't hack your tanks?
Yeah, but then like RCK just puts damage down on the tanks, or it seems like Godspeed just tries to get on the flank and finish players off that are low.
Yeah, twice as fast, I suppose. All right, RCK's got himself in the back line. He and Godspeed don't know that each other are literally standing on top of one another while invisible. RCK reveals himself straight away. Hack on Gschwind now. Will there be Fusion's getting a bit aggressive behind this one quickly? Hangzhou able to disengage though. Speed boost to back them up. Gschwind able to get healed. Rhea took a big hit there as well, but Boston, that was not the opening. They'll be looking for another one now. RCK remains visible here, and he does need to keep tabs on Godspeed playing above him. Now Rhea gets hacked. This time the Sombras aren't trying to hack each other. Now they're trying to hack the other tanks.
Yeah, the first hack from RCK there was good on Gschwind, but Godspeed actually goes over on the other side and he hacks Blase playing the Brigitte, so you didn't have any of that burst healing onto the Reinhardt. This time, you got to getting the EMP first, yep.
And there it is, it hits hard, but still RCK Blase able to get 2 kills. Adora and Gschwind no less going down. But with the Transcendence late in the fight, the Boston Uprising can stay vital until it's time to deliver the finishing blow.
And Boston backs out. They know they have a slight advantage here. They don't need to rush. They have EMP to work with. They're going to try and build up this grab. They're
40
going to have
seconds.
Shatter too.
RCK,
it's a lot of time.
Translocator laid down. Kellex has sound barrier now as well. Godspeed already halfway towards his next one, but it's Rhea's Graviton Surge that may be of the most concern for Boston now. They do not have a Transcendence to answer that. There it is, hack on the Color Hex though. He can't grab straight away. It's going to be the first grab from Hangzhou. They start the fight, but will it be Boston to finish at 3 on the EMP? Bebe and Fusion's both going down, but it's looking good for Boston now as they start to push on. It was Godspeed and Rhea to fall, and RCK is still alive late in the fight. Adora, they're trying to stay alive, and Brigitte. And RCK is going to go take a 1v1 here against Bebe now, who is close to a Transcendence. That will be a frustrating stall, especially with Gschwind coming back into the fight. But no chance for that. The Boston Uprising, that was nose to the grindstone action as both teams trying to leverage Sombra in order to get an advantage. But it was Boston coming out on top. and now they're one map away from taking this series.
Yeah, the Spark forced to fight on the point. All Boston needed was that one tick. And they walk into a big EMP from RCK. 32 enemies EMP'd on Blizzard World. A huge map from RCK to hit Boston up 2-1. See if they can close it out after this.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by T-Mobile, now connecting 99% of Overwatch League fans. Catch your league on America's network, T-Mobile.
Kind of a new feeling for Boston lately. They're not used to being like in a winning position in series. In fact, they're all pretty much, they're not in a winning position until they win in that map 5 in the past. So they'll be like, oh wow, I see why these other teams like this. Maybe we should just do a bit more of the winning in the first 4 maps of the series. Blizzard World looked quite good. Hangzhou, look, I'll be honest with you, neither team looked very good on defense. It was quite clear that both teams were very good on attack. They were really trying to push, pressure, ultimate advantage, use Sombra aggressively in a lot of those cases. But then we saw, you know, the Spark, you know, again, bring Godspeed back on that Sombra. And I wonder something. I wonder if their issues with the Sombra in the comp are less about Godspeed, but also the switch of Zarya player. Because now Rhea has to play the Zarya.
Yeah, I mean, their Sombra comp for the Spark, talking about them, did look better than what we've seen from them in the past, though. You know, we've seen them really kind of throw around some of these ultimates, really waste a ton. That time, though, they played the ultimate game pretty well. They were able to make the Sombra work. It's just they switched to it a little bit too late, where Boston has this huge advantage. As we can see Crystal come back in the game here for Adora. So we saw Crystal Overwatch League debut, map number 1. They win it, bring him back here, potentially, you know, try and force this to a game 5.
Yeah, we're talking about a bit of a different map. We're going to be seeing coming just up in a second, and it might not be one that is all about 3-3 all the way through. Roadhog's possibility as well. We see a fair bit of Roadhog coming forwards.
Bastion again on Junkertown.
Yeah, Junkertown being our next map, by the way, for those that were wondering. So now the Boston Uprising again, you know, even if they let this one slip, Junkertown is always that kind of map that can produce more outlier results. You know, Snowball is like a real factor on this particular map. If you start to get an advantage, it's easy to sort of derive further advantages constantly down the track on a map like this one.
If there's a map crazy things can happen, it's on this one. It's unlike any other map that you have in Overwatch. Like the first series is just so spread out. Just so many great lines of sight for Widowmakers.
Just allows you to go for picks instead of team fights.
And then in the same way, it's like, it's weird to say a place is great for Widowmaker on defense, but then also like fantastic for Bastion on offense, who's stationary.
Widow has multiple areas on defense to sort of play around, like the water tower or behind the truck.
So interesting dive defense here from the Spark. 3 flankers.
It's that Crystal Genji, man.
Crystal on the Genji here, with the Rhea playing Tracer got to be on Sombra.
To be honest, this composition is what you want against like a pirate. This might be the anti-pirate chip. Is this like a grey level biotic grenade?
I'll show them.
Oh, cheeky.
Oh, okay. On the cards, yeah. Little do they know they're not on the cart.
No, they are not. Boston Uprising actually playing quite defensively early, Matt. They don't push onto the cart.
Well, you know, the Spark get quite fortunate there, because the biotic grenade hits and then they get the message to go, and the Bastion is actually up on the high ground. for the Uprising.
That is the defensive opening for attackers. Like, you play Bastion high ground if the enemy team is trying to play really close. That's how you punish that.
I tell you what, though, they're being pretty smart here at the Spark, because they're taking what they're giving them. They're just going in, burning down RCK, and then getting out.
RCK forced to switch off D.Va and back to it multiple times.
Yeah, I mean, look, he's giving up no ult charge because he's just going out there and just getting D-back.
I think they're trying to get in his head a little bit as well. I think they're trying to focus him down. RCK's been a huge thorn on their side. But this is what we wanted to see from Hangzhou, Matt. Triple DPS. Just bang it straight in my bloodstream. I'm all about it. I want an IV. Chris forced to back up a little bit here. Notice the Immortality field was used, and it's just as well because Fusions and RCK took a battering early in that fight. Everyone focused around keeping Hex alive, but again, to get in front of that deflect, and it could be nasty. Crystal gets Kellex there. Hex finding him, and I'd say Kellex also going down because a lot of those shots were deflected off the Bastion. Rhea, good pulse pump connection there. The Hangzhou Sparker still able to hold this one for the time being. That's not good though. Losing IDK here. Yeah, they've got a couple players, Matt, waiting in the wings. But losing Lucio there. Nah, that ain't it.
But I tell you what, though, coming into the next fight for the Spark, EMP plus a Dragon Blade here. Just got Aim God with this, big Batiste ultimate right in front of the Bastion.
Put it in this little window here. Yuck.
Yeah, the Amp Matrix. I mean, it will go away, though, with the EP, so.
Godspeed maybe wants to do it second then, because again, you can also get rid of the Immortality field.
Oh, he's detected, though.
Yeah, he's going to go for it now. EMP connects. Hex actually still got towards tank configuration, but only Godspeed felled by him. So Boston, that's not really how they wanted to start this fight. Blase, you look to him to try and find a pick to even the ult a little bit, but he hasn't found it. He's gone fishing with the hook, but found little. And we know Batiste is very vulnerable at dive, man. You see Aim God just getting squashed by Crystal.
It was actually pretty sweet, though, from Aim God to get out of position from that EMP. Is the cart's still moving here, but it looks like the Spark have control of this, as it'll be Crystal using the Dragon Blade here towards the end. Blase wants nothing to do with that.
I don't blame him.
Yeah, turns back, walks off the side.
You can't play Bastion now. Not that you've been pushed off the payload like this. Hangzhou looks like they're trying to taxi back for a quick switch up. And they do, yeah. So they read this quite nicely.
Yeah, but they're gonna have to use probably Nano to keep like Gschwind alive here to contest.
Rhea's the one that was doing most of the defending, man. He's gonna go for a self-destruct. Aim God gets squashed there again. Biotic grenade thrown in by Bebe to start that off, and Nano boost as well. That's a very cute from Hangzhou, man. It works perfectly. They send most of their team back, 4 players in fact, to switch up, and they come back in time. Really nicely orchestrated switch-ups here, where normally it would be almost impossible.
So, I mean, they're in a position to potentially get a full hold here.
38 seconds.
So you will have sound barrier, nothing here, as Aim God will go over and play Zen. I think Zen in this type of situation, you just needed to burn Gschwind down. So he's really been a difference maker on the Winston here, as Fusion's getting close to his primal rage, but look at this, Gschwind goes in, he goes over the top, now you have the primal rage to use.
Hex sleeping, Bebe nails him there as well. Fusions was just pushing it out a little bit. Matt, try not to be too loud, I respect that. It's not going to work this time though. Fusions gets bio grenaded as he backs away, so he doesn't want to use primal for the next couple of seconds. It won't do much for him. RCK is headed on a one-way trip to D-Suit Town. He's going to go for the self-destruct first to try and preempt that. No one at Hangzhou really bothered by the self-destruct whatsoever. RCK, after getting demeked, is removed. That was the primal rage from Fusions. That was a window for him. He got nothing done. Blase gets solo grabbed, taken down almost immediately now. Hex forced to move up to the payload, and Kellex is right behind him. But again, it's just trips and traps on the Boston Uprising. A woeful attempt at attack here on Junkertown. Hangzhou shut the door. No junk mail, please. We don't take that here.
And I think the most impressive thing for me is that they're able to use that really, dive-heavy composition with the 3 flankers in the Winston on defense to make it work. In having the Winston only die once when they're really vulnerable there. Fantastic play from Gschwind and the rest of the Spark.
The Boston Uprising realize now that this map could be over awfully fast. There will be another map 5 for them to play in. Fortunately, at least, they've got a pretty good record on those as of late, but you don't want to be there. At 6-3, like you'd love to just get a comfortable, go 70% in your games. Hangzhou are sat there like 3-5 thinking we need wins wherever we can get them. So you better believe they're going to dig their claws in.
I think this is a big game though for the Spark. Like if you can somehow pull this map out, map definitely not over, as Boston could get a hold here on D. If the Spark are able to win this, win the game 5, get that win, and we go to 4-5, If you're like coaching staff for a match on the Spark, like guys, we win one game, we're back at 500.
Yeah.
This is a long season. Like we are still in it. Like if we can just start to.
Oh yeah, we're not even halfway. Not even
right.
close.
And I mean now you just start bringing Crystal into the lineup, and we've seen him make a difference. And I think you can really start to spin this positively for the Spark.
Real clean Genji from him. AimGod playing Moira, so that's the first time we're going to see that for the series, and I think Boston want to play close together.
Yeah.
This is a very conservative composition.
This is a 2-fight map for Boston. You have the fight on the cart. Let's say the cart starts to move. You probably get one more good fight after that. So
Hangzhou have to know this. Look at this switch last second, going the Roadhog Orisa. Double sniper
they
as well.
See it. They see it.
So now what? Where do they get? Yeah, I got to say, you can't leverage double sniper here, so you now go and try and mirror compositions. I like the Roadhog for the Uprising, though. We'll see if that really is going to be the pick that they want here, Matt, over like a D.Va, for example. Gschwind shield very low. The extra shield pressure being provided by Roadhog makes it hard for Reinhardt to keep that barrier up at all times. RCK is low, though. Boston can't heal him up fast enough. By the looks of things, Infusions maybe overextend slightly. Good boop, actually, knocking Gschwind back, but it's not enough. AimGod actually goes down. He's the most mobile of the entire Boston composition. And he was picked up by Rhea.
And he's all their healing. And as soon as you lose AimGod, who's getting very close to the Coalescence, things fall apart for the Boston Uprising. So they'll change up. Blase goes over. We'll play Brigitte here. As AimGod is going to switch off of Moira, play Zen.
Oh, I don't know.
With only one fight to go and you have the Coalescence, maybe you stay on?
Yeah, maybe you hope. I guess AimGod's hope is that he can just put pressure on Gschwind here. He's not even thinking about ultimates at this stage. But I might want to start thinking about that because Godsby is close. Infusions is taken down by the self-destruct. Color Hex is going to be pressured back into his shield. Is going to get broken awfully fast. That, Chief, is definitely not it.
It's a really nice shield bash there from Crystal, sets that up. Fusion's not able to keep the shield up there. So looks like we're gonna have Boston try and get onto the cart, not able to do it though.
Big Earth Shatter as well. 2 Boston players were knocked to the ground. There was a grab, transcendent, everything the Hangzhou Spark needed, they had at their fingertips. A very disappointing showing from Boston on Junkertown, but this is what happens, Matt, if you try and play Bastion and you run out of gas. In this case, it was not only figurative, but also literal. They didn't have much time to defend. That's just the way this map works. Par for the course, really. No second chances on Junkertown. And they'll be thinking about the next map in the series, that map 5 that they are all too familiar with. It's going to go to Control to decide a victor in this series. Once more, Boston have the door in 5. Hangzhou looking for the W.
Incoming in 30 seconds. Swiftly. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Attackers incoming. My ultimate is charging.
Map 5 it is once more for the Boston Uprising and for the Spark. They're chasing their 4th win of the season so far. The back end of stage 1 was not kind to them. They definitely backslid, and this is where they need to regain those lost maps.
But I do think stage 1 for the Spark was, they were kind of like learning on the fly. No Smite was in some maps, Gschwind was in some others. They looked better once they solidified. No, Gschwind's going to be the main tank.
Switching their main tank every map.
Right, and now I think you're seeing them. They're rotating some of their damage dealers in. Like, if they can solidify this, I think Godspeed definitely is one that they want to keep in. I think has a really nice hero pool. If they can get Crystal to keep playing like he's playing, I think he could be somebody who could find himself a mainstay in the lineup as well.
I mean, he's been very good this series. I mean, he's played in all the maps that Hangzhou have won, first of all. His Genji looked fantastic. He played on plenty of Brigitte as well.
I think the oddest part is that I didn't have to see Crystal play to know he was good. It's like, and we knew he was able to play. So why wasn't he playing? Where I think now that you see him in the lineup, you can see the difference he brings, whether it's the Genji or the Brigitte play, the Bastion in map 1. He can play so many heroes. Also, if you look at, he's somebody who has chemistry already with Gschwind, so I think that just makes it easier for Gschwind to play his game.
Lijiang Tower will be our 5th map of this series. Yeah, here's a great question. Boston are very good at sort of winning when they got momentum. In fact, in all those last maps that the series they reverse swept, they had to win them all in a row. Now that that rhythm gets broken up from them a little bit more, you have to wonder, they're kind of on the other side of the fence now coming into this map 5, where it's like, we weren't winning and now we are. For them now, it's like we were winning and now we're really not.
I think the interesting thing for Boston as well is that you've kind of opted into this mirror in the Reinhardt 3-3 at times with the Spark, and the Spark has kind of gone toe-to-toe with you. You've really made a lot of your strides in the matchup when you've had the Sombra in play. So
I also think Godspeed on the Zarya is quite a powerful selection, right? Color Hex is definitely, up against a stoic opponent when they're playing is pure 3-3. Fusion's taking a ton of damage right now. He got repair packed there briefly. Okay, so I like the Boston Uprising do this, Matt. They noticed that the Spark back up to throw that repair pack, so they take the point. Good rotation, good calling. Fever just get blown up there. Again, the Boston Uprising have 2 doorways to fire through here. It's hard for the Spark to get through unscathed.
Yeah, now the Spark don't have that Discord Orb for the extra damage put onto the point as see Color Hex all charged up here as IDK falls. So it'll be the Boston Uprising who can control the point first. They have a big advantage in terms of what they built up in ultimates. A lot of the damage that goes down in that first fight goes in favor of Boston.
Early trades had fusions fairly low. They were able to pick it back up without having to give away too much ground, Matt. And look, again, Boston doing this. So they are trying to push quite far forward. They're not letting Hangzhou really just like spread out across the middle of the map now. Graviton searching for Godspeed though. Transcendence immediately used here. Is there going to be a setup? No self-destruct or anything like that yet. Rhea is close, but he was stunned up. RCK also getting very close to that ability. See how the teams try to use it without grabs in play. Color Hex, well, he has to bubble himself. Now it gets taken down. They catch him out, and Color Hex with his own right click is taken down. IDK trying to wait in the corner, but RCK again saves the day. So often when this team is short-handed, RCK comes up and gets a multi-kill with a self-destruct with no setup.
The fight is pretty even, and Color Hex uses his grab, and Gschwind lands a really nice counter shatter. But there was a beautiful shatter here by Fusion, so check this out. Shatter by Fusion's
4-player.
Beautiful self-destruct that gets pushed on in.
But it was definitely set up for that self-destruct. But straight away, Hangzhou want to descend from on high and start the fight off. And the way that they dropped down, Matt, made it kind of hard for them to be organized properly. Bebe was playing in the front line when he was supposed to be playing quite passively there, and the Uprising used that against them now. Transcendence from AimGod using these close quarters here with Rhea and a Discord Orb on him. But Boston find no more than that, so it's a 5v5. Crystal, that bubble could be burst if he's not careful. He quickly backs up.
So the Reinhardt's getting into play for both teams here. This is one-fight territory. Boston backs up to the point so they can rally with fusions here.
Godspeed with a grab, but Crystal goes down early. Another pick from AimGod. How does he keep doing it? Whether it's him or RCK, Boston always seem to be fighting in a player advantage now. And Color Hex has another grab ready. Godspeed does too, and he uses it immediately now. Color Hex goes for a late grab of his own and once again goes down to his own right click, but there was damage there. Now Fusions doesn't really need to care about stalling out, Matt. They're 99-0.
It looks like the Spark will flip here, though, in the end. So can they make this happen? We do see a lot of like 99 to 0 comebacks, but right now, you have the advantage for Boston. They decide to not use some of those ultimates.
But they
the
used
Spark,
grab, which was questionable.
Yeah, I mean, they do, but the Spark end up burning everything. So you come back in here for Boston. Although you give the point back, they're going to give up some percentage here. You still look really good in this fight.
This time he dropped down. Fusions goes for a shatter straight away, but Hangzhou were ready for it, or at least he didn't give him any reason to avoid it. Aim got down this time, going from first picker to first picked. And Fusions, he's in trouble. Big trouble there. Hangzhou run over the top. And yo, what happened to those ultimates that Boston stored up to win the game right here?
So now it gets scary for Boston. You had those ultimates to use in combo. And you knew that the Spark were really working with nothing. Rhea just with the self-destruct gets Aim God, who I think is playing up on the high ground. She can't get out of the way.
None of that looks great from Boston, man. The way that they dropped down and tried to start that fight. It looked a little bit rushed. And these guys, we saw them on Blizzard World. They played so well knowing that they had 40 seconds left. They were patient. You know, they didn't overextend or go for any random ultimates. But that fight was not a good example of that behavior. Blase burnt down early. Boston just being the punching bags right now, trying to generate their own ultimates.
And the worst part about this for Boston is they go in, they have 2 players drop. They don't actually get any ultimates out of the Spark. So the Spark get a free fight win. And the Boston's trying to force the fight, but they're trying to force ultimates out. They get the fight, but no ultimates out of the Spark, and now the Spark have the advantage here.
This is Hangzhou holding onto their ultimate economy jealously, refusing to give any of it up.
They were really good with that on Blizzard World, too.
Boston might have to offer something up to try and draw those ultimates out, but they're running out of time.
Well, with the way that Spark have played this and rotated back to the point, they're baiting them into a 1 fight.
It is now 90% to 99. Boston, it has to be now. Hex has a Graviton Surge, took a big hit. Hangzhou have 6 ultimates though, it's going to be the rally coming out and starting the fight off here. Self-destruct into the backside, doesn't find anything, it Blase is knocked to the ground, should I say. Boston Uprising getting battled around the point here, and they don't have any ultimates left to work with. They use the grab, they use the Transcendence, they use everything they had, except for the Shadow. Fusions lays it down, but it may just be too late. Sound barrier now on the plucky Brute as he tries to come forward on this one, but he gets taken down almost immediately. Off towards the side is RCK, he'll try and keep it stalled out, but he and Telex come from the same angle and both were buffed accordingly. D-Suit now on the Diva. Boston Uprising with no players to work with whatsoever. Blase's the closest, he can't get there, and he can't lose rounds like that. If you're Boston, you start the fight, you win the first fight, you drag it out to 99%, and you let the Spark back in. Looks like their resolve just crumbled, and Hangzhou took advantage of their desperate attempts to force ultimates out of this team.
And the Spark, you know, we're staring out at the stage here, how we kind of cast, and I see IDK, like, he has his face on after they come back and win that, like, he was stunned that they were able to come back, and then everybody's kind of laughing. So a big momentum is swung in the Spark's favor, and we talked about in the pregame, right? Bringing in a new player like Crystal into the lineup can really, like, excite, get everybody motivated to play again. So see, now we'll see Godsby plays the Mei here, potentially.
Yep. We see this.
They ran on Anubis.
We see this all the time in Overwatch contenders. Godsby, yeah, that obviously means Rhea's on the Zarya here, so we'll see how that plays out. Blizzard is so deadly over this part of the map. Boston had better be ready for this one. Godsby low already, taking a lot of flack there. He's going to be forced to use Ice Block. Fusions now, uses this as an opportunity to disengage. That's a nasty fire strike, and he saw it happening. You knew it would be coming. Not enough healing for Hangzhou to quickly get themselves top back up, Matt, I guess.
I wonder you stay on the Mei here. I think you're kind of committed to the Mei because Rhea playing Zarya. Like, you're going to give an ult charge on both. It's not a ton.
Yeah.
But
okay, you switch one. Yeah, like, this is also a look.
This is also, yeah, something you do.
It's a look. Mei in for Sombra. RCK, though, obviously will be way ahead of Godsby, and we'll have that earlier EMP. Fusions backs up, quickly barking orders to the rest of his team. Realizes it's going to be time to fight. Oh, Rhea! Aim God! No, keeps getting these. This is ridiculous. There's Zarya down for the Hangzhou Spark, and this guy has been instrumental in starting Boston off on the right foot.
He sounded like super angry about that. That's
a shouldn't
play there from Aim God. Yeah, it's kind of hard, right? Like the Zarya just getting kind of like doned by the Zen right off the bat, but Rhea obviously didn't have the personal bubble. Aim God just able to just burn right through him. But now you haven't really gotten a good fight here after the Spark. This is kind of like how the first point went, though. The Spark didn't really get anything going until 99 on the board.
Big EMP, though, Matt. That one hits Gschwind. That's all you really need to get.
Yeah.
AimGo finds the rest of the damage off the back of that. And Boston now, again, are we going to see a repeat? They're going to get close to 99 here.
That's why it's so brutal to lose the fights that the Spark were losing. because you knew eventually, you knew they had EMP and you were losing the fights without EMP coming out, and you kind of know the fight that they use EMP you're going to lose. So you're walking into 3 fights that you kind of die early. You know they're not going to use anything, and you know that you need to get one fight where they use that one ultimate.
There's no, the repair pack. There's no repair pack for Gschwind right now. You saw it had to be used on Bebe early after he got hacked, but RCK got too aggressive. He was doing a great job actually of just sitting behind the Spark and harassing them. But Godsby went hunting for him and wins in that 1v1. Gschwind low, gets a bubble. Color Hex, again, he knows he wants to make the right choice for this grab. There's no Diva there, so Color Hex is just waiting for the right time to go for it. I agree, this is not it.
Yeah, and actually RCK gets hacked by Godsby, and the big thing there for the Spark is they gave up some percentage, so they'll get to 99 Boston, but the Spark did not want to use any more ultimates after that. They know they needed the advantage in terms of ultimate economy. They didn't want to blow like 2 ultimates there towards the end to get like 2 or 3 players off the point and save, let's say, 3 or 4%. So they trade that 3 or 4% to them getting a 99 overtime, then take the point to hold on to an ultimate like the EMP.
And that's the EMP. Now, based on that room, it only hits 4 people, but it's the right ones.
Yeah.
It's the right ones. And Gschwind knew he could follow up with a shatter.
Like EMP shatters the new Brigitte Bash shatter combo where there's
it's much easier to hit than a Brig Bash nowadays.
Oh yeah, the Brig Bash through the sides. Hard is. Now both teams have to know that the Zaryas have grab. Interesting that you don't have the Spark kind of play close in the choke, like use the gravity in the choke. They're going to allow Boston to come in and take some space.
Okay, let the grab go. Actually, Gschwind got hacked there, so we can't shield up. It's going to be dangerous! Oh, there it is. The Earth Shatter comes through, but Gschwind was already taken down. Now it's going to be the Graviton Surge, and the Transcendence will time out whilst the grab is still there, which is perfect for Boston. Just the result they were looking for. And an EMP to follow it up. RCK knew it was all but done, but just the finishing touches had to be applied. Crystal on the Brigitte couldn't even get towards the point now, and we have a very close affair. And so just Godsby able to touch the point here. The lightning doesn't strike twice. And nor does Sombra translocate twice in such a short space of time. Boston have forced the round 3 of map 5. Maximum Overwatch seems to be Boston. You know, here's why everyone's praising Hunt, by the way. You know, it's like, oh, Boston are building such good players. They're playing more Overwatch than anyone else. They're getting way more game time than any of their opponents. Of course they're winning. And now I have to see if they can keep that trend up, man. Just one more round, we're going to head over towards Garden.
This is one where you could see like a Farah. RCK with that big hack on a Gschwind there towards the end allows him to not burn his EMP, and they get the shatter off that, so they have the EMP to seal things off. Is this what you come out with running here if you're the Spark? So you get Gschwind on Winston, let's say his strongest hero. Do you see the Farah that comes out? So we have a triple DPS comp, so 3 damage dealers for the Boston Uprising. Where you do like the Winston composition versus the damage dealers.
Yeah. But they're forcing Hangzhou back, though. I don't think that Hangzhou really want to play into this with, like, Brig and Zarya. Yeah, I understand that the switch was the Moira here. You probably want a little bit more flexibility.
Some more healing. Just raw healing.
Hacking Nefara is going to be really annoying for Blase. But again, what do they do about Color Hex? They don't really have an answer. I guess, you know, Godsby can harass there a little bit, but you feel okay here right now for him.
A lot of damage is going to be going on to Gschwind, though, when he starts to get towards the point. Far on the high ground, the wrecking ball at the point.
This side, Blase slamming rockets into the other side. Color Hex is just firing shots. Color Hex is being harassed by Godsby right now, so we can't do too much. Those players are locked in a duel. And Aria get knocked over the edge. Oh, Blase didn't even know he got that kill. They probably assumed, I guess, based on his experience, but Hangzhou just got slapped there. Now, yeah, they get Color Hex, but their Sombra is out of the fight for most of it.
Yeah, when he had a Gschwind dive into the background, he actually got slept there by Aim God, and they come over and they get a hack on him and then take him out. So, let's see, do you stay on this if you're the Spark?
I mean, you don't feel good as Godsby now. If you're walking into an infra site and you know you cannot be invisible.
You have a Coalescence here. And we've seen weirder things, but like Coalescence trying to get the Farah out of the sky, just to force the Farah down towards the ground where you can make something happen.
Let's see how good Boston's ult track. Okay, so I was wondering if Color Hex would hold this until they thought Godsby actually had EMP. Be a great way to shut down the Sombra before we could get there. Oh, we got Baby though, picking off the Moira. Can't fade away from a one-hit kill with a headshot burst, and that's a 4-man Mighty Grenade. Hangzhou Spark have to back out against that knockoff. Gschwind, I think, was woken up sort of in midair. He woke up, so he's able to get back out.
He gets slept and they try and like knock him off the edge, but he's able to stay alive here. It's 50% and counting. So many sources of damage to worry about here if you're the Spark. Is Crystal will walk onto the point, does have rally to use.
See, the point is the fulcrum of where all this damage is coming from now. Bebe blowing up once more. Can't do too much when he's EMP'd there, but Boston need to follow up a little bit more. Rhea over the edge, that should do it. A late fight hack on Fusions means he'll try and break line of sight, but this is good target focus late in a team fight from Hangzhou to chase down Fusions there. They have positioning on the point. They can go for a late EMP. Boston might just even abdicate this point for a little while they set up Color Hex and Code. Late in the fight, Widowmaker in a great position just to get these shots into the point. And that EMP, Matt, doesn't look great for Godspeed.
No, it connects with like 2 players as Fusions actually knocks Gschwind off the side as he's trying to jump in through the middle window. So he doesn't even get an opportunity to come back to the point. As a Spark may not even be able to get another touch here.
No, I think they're going to struggle here. They do have a relatively mobile composition, Matt. They can get Gschwind there. Maybe Bebe can fade somehow across the gap and make it with 1% more though. Desperation. Gschwind does get a bit of a touch. It's going to be the minefield drop down in front of the window, but Fusions, they can't cross over this barrier without taking huge damage. Look at Rhea. He went down to almost 1 before he could touch the point, and he's desuited straight away. I hate to see that. He's trying to hang around a little bit. Gschwind was able to knock the game, got off the edge, and Godspeed now having switched over towards the Widowmaker, finds a couple of those shots. Gschwind going around the corner. Blaze doesn't really know where to be right now. With Telex going down, it looks like Hangzhou at the final moment, the 11th hour. They break back into the point and finally establish control. And now it's a long climb from here. But Hangzhou have done it already, this map.
And Crystal goes back and switches to Brig. Godspeed's going to go back to Zarya. So you were able to take that. They see the changes that come through for Boston. But are they going to make it back to the point? Boston has a 3-player advantage right now.
Okay, so they are here now. They've all arrived. Godspeed has just returned with the rest of the team. And they haven't caught lessons from Bebe, who didn't switch, to sort of pat them out over the course of waiting for the rest of their teammates to arrive. But look at the line of sight blocking here from Fusions. He took hardly any damage from cold lessons. Now we can go forward and get aggressive with it. Bebe's low. Gschwind's even lower right now. They need to keep their Winston alive. Hangzhou require him to get anything done in this fight. But Primal Rage now comes out from Fusions. Gschwind was able to be healed up. Fusions now a lot of displacement, a lot of problems being caused. Was that Rhea over the edge? It was Godspeed that goes. And now fully charged Zarya off the edge. That's going to hurt the Hangzhou Spark. They've also lost Bebe now. They are in control of the point, but it's a matter of time by the looks of things before Boston have this one back. Rhea trying to make himself scarce on the point and avoid a lot of this damage. Color Hex from going down off screen to Gschwind as he lands on top of him there. And this looks like it. The final breaths here from the Hangzhou Spark. They step off the point. They allow Boston to retake it. Now during overtime, they'll touch it once more. They're juggling this overtime quite well. But Rhea fired a grenade and slept straight away. And that's going to be struggle town for him. You see Fusions gets nano boosted, man. He's looking for Bebe a little bit too far away. He realizes that, backs away. Boston, a little bit messy though. Color Hex. He had a graviton surge.
IDK's actually camping the spawn, and he boops Color Hex over the side as he's trying to walk back from the spawn. That is such a huge play there, as Color Hex has the grab to use as a Spark flip. What a play.
Hangzhou stay in control. 60% and counting. They let Boston get the point back.
And now they have Sound Barrier Trance. They rally here. Look at this.
That's just, it's mental. And over on live, their aim dot went down early, so Boston couldn't contest with that one either. Hangzhou Spark seem to be very good, Matt, at playing on a tightrope here. Just keeping themselves in the game. And this is one fight territory, and look at all the tick marks next to those Hangzhou names. Boston, this might have been taken away from them. The rug may have been pulled out from under them now. Hangzhou, very quickly go forward, get aggressive. Gschwind stuns.
Color Hex it again.
Again, over the edge. The whip shot gets rid of him. They have no graviton to use once more. That's been sat waiting for so long. But the Boston Uprising are going to have a chance to use it at this rate. Gschwind returns to the fight. Stunned up. Now in overtime, and Hangzhou are in control. This is unbelievable. Blaze removed. RCKD suited. He's in mini-diva form trying to stay alive. But Crystal now and Co inside the graviton surge. The Hangzhou Spark. Unbelievable. I can't believe this has happened.
Oh, what a win.
They've snatched victory from the jaws of defeat. It should have been over twice in the same map. There was 0 to 99 and still they came back. I have no words. This is unbelievable.
I tell you what, though, this is a win for the Spark that probably feels like 3 wins. Like, you get the win, you move to 4 and 5. If you're the Spark, you get a big win over a team that you know is like in playoff contention. Just proves to yourself that, you know, Crystal in the lineup, right? You can get some clutch plays coming out at the end. Just shows the Spark that they can put things together that will work against top teams.
0 to 99%, Matt, and they stick a diva on the point, trigger overtime. somehow buy enough time for the rest of their team to come back. IDK knocks Color Hex over the edge. Straight after that, it's Crystal doing the same with the whip shot. Boston had the game-winning ultimate right there and never had a chance to use it. You've got to be so frustrated if you're Boston. And here's one thing that's true. That map 5 is a capricious and cruel master. You can't rely on it forever. Let's head now down to the floor with Emily and Crystal.
Hey everyone, I'm Emily and I'm here with Crystal of the Hangzhou Spark. Congratulations again. 恭喜你们第二阶段第一次的胜利。然后 Crystal 这也是你第一次上场，打得就这么好，心里有什么感受？
其实这是第一次上场，然后心里还是有一点紧张，打得没有跟想象的好，对，就是打得没有想象的好。
Too modest. So I asked him, this was our first time seeing Crystal here at the Overwatch League stage at the Blizzard Arena other than the World Cup. And I asked him, well, you know, how do you feel? And he says, I did really well, but I could be better and I'll improve. And next week, you guys are going against the Guangzhou Charge. So what steps have you guys taken to prep? How are you feeling going into this match? 下个礼拜我们要面对广州冲锋，对吧？那么你有没有开始准备呢？心里做了一些准备吗？还有什么期待吗？
我们已经准备了很多，然后希望大家期待下场比赛。
We've done a lot of preparations, and I hope you guys are looking forward to a fantastic match next week. Thank you so much, Crystal. 谢谢 KK.
Crazy stuff. I mean, yeah, the way that series ended, there was a really impressive, I guess, application of some of the finer points of playing control maps, you know, transitioning out of fights that you've won, how you're going to employ your ultimates, and of course also just stalling the point out.
I think you just see the individual skill of all these players on the Spark. Like, on control there at the end, like the ability for the Gschwind to go in, use a Primal Rage, he's so weak, he jumps all the way out back to his own health pack. Then you have Rhea on the point who flies in, able to stall it on his own. IK with the brain just kind of camp outside of the spawn.
The brain.
New Color Hex.
Brain.
Yeah, I mean, new Color Hex was going to have the Graviton Surge there, knock him off the side. Just massive individual plays there from the Spark.
It's going to be a match that's going to be talked about for a little while, I think. But for now, let's go and find out who is our player of the match, brought to you by Omen by HP. And I think this is deserved. We'll explain this a little bit. There's a lot of candidates on the team that deserve it, but we give it Crystal today on his debut because the impact he made immediately out of the gates, Matt, was huge.
They win every map that he's in. I know they looked great with him on map number 1. You saw some of his hero pool, played a lot of the Brigitte, but then the Bastion here to really make an impact. Junkertown, you saw him play the Genji, you saw him make an impact there, and then I think in our game 5, you know, whether it was the Brigitte getting to the Tracer to go back and stall, I think Crystal was a big difference maker for the Spark today.
Brick stats, we live for these.
Yeah, I'm excited to see him play more in the future. I think they need to incorporate him more into the lineup. Definitely a difference maker.
I definitely feel like, yeah, players are getting rewarded now for waiting to sort of see Crystal before he hit the stage. And now when he's done so, yes, yeah, has to play a bit of that Brigitte role, which is, you know, something we're kind of used to. The Bastion looked really good. And there's kind of hints of another Chinese player sort of starting to become a real centerpiece on this roster, which should be great, not only for the Chinese region, but also fans of the Hangzhou Spark. Coming up next, though, we got a little bit more action coming from that region. The San Francisco Shock and the Guangzhou Charge, they're at it again, Matt.
Oh, yeah, it's going to be a pretty good match. I think the Charge looking to really kind of right the wrongs of the last time they faced off, where the Shock were really dominant. The Charge are going to come out today with a completely different look.
Yeah, 3 and 6, the Charge need to find something, but the San Francisco Shock are looking quite dominant right now. So stick around for that one. On the other side of these messages, we'll be back in a moment.
The Overwatch League is brought to you by Toyota, official North American partner of the Overwatch League. Toyota, let's go places.
Hey, man, what's up?
You need anything for today?
Nah, man, I think I'm set.
Big day today, man?
Yeah, huge. Let's play some Overwatch.
There is a special spot in the book of esports history for champions here in the Overwatch League.
Okay. Yep. Yeah.
The Vancouver Titans.
Look at these ugly, sloppy players.
마이크 체크하자.
본 사람한테 미안하지만 4대0 갑시다.
They're definitely scared of us.
Yeah, 100%.
I know they are.
마지막 기회입니다, 여러분.
Play our game and pummel these kids.
Yeah, let's go. Yo, 3, 2, 1. Okay! Let's go, boys.
밴쿠버 하나, 둘, 셋.
밴쿠버! Make some noise as we're heading to our stage 1 final.
우리가 훨씬 잘해.
침착하게.
That's fine.
We suck at that map, it's okay.
Yeah, that's fine.
Now we win.
Yeah.
잘하다. Carry. Nice.
It's our worst map and we won. Let's
This is
go.
so bad.
퍽것이 부조화 내가 부르는 거.
오케이.
Now, the kings of the jungle have to assert themselves.
루쇼. 아, 이건 진짜 아깝다. 이건 어쩔 수 없어.
Guys, we're so much better. Let's go.
Is this where it ends? Is this where the shock hold off the Titans?
야, 가자, 앞으로 갈게. 나 민서 프리드래. 할수 있어. 나이스.
내 표정 봤지?
야, 칭찬하기엔 입이 아깝고 끝나고 칭찬해줄게.
오케이.
일단은 가자. 17연승.
It all ends here on Rialto.
Nice, guys.
딱 1분이야. 서울이랑 똑같아.
Remember the Titans though, they are still in a great spot to take this all the way here.
라인 보는 중. 자리야. 핸드필. 나이스.
아니,
방심하지 말고.
얘네 표정 굳었어. 확실히 막을 수 있어.
That was a haymaker of a round.
The Shock, they only have 1 minute. 1 minute on this map.
We can still win, really.
Yeah, really.
Really, I believe. Don't be scared, guys.
This is just a first point hold. That's all this is. It's just a full hold.
Now we know what the Titans need to do. It's simple. And the Vancouver Titans take what was promised to them. Your stage 1 champions.
GG.
Swagers.
I'm about to start crying, bro.
Good job, everyone.
I'm really proud of you guys.
Good job.